Hello, everybody. You don't see my face here very often, but welcome to the holiday special Fireside Chat Q&A with the cast of D4. I am your host, Babs the Bat. You probably see me around all the time. I'm one of the producers of D4. Today, we are going to take the questions you submitted over the past few weeks to do a deep dive into the story, the characters, and creators of the past year. Because it's been a year, you guys. It's been a year of a lot of stuff, in-game and out of game. Throughout the night, if the chat has any other questions they want to add, please enter question, the word question, in all caps, and we will add it to the roster of questions. We will try to get through all of them tonight, but we apologize if we run out of time. We do have a lot of questions, and we will do our best to get through them all. They will be recorded, and if we do not get to them, come join us on the RockPunch Discord, where you can find the answers in the Ask D4 channel later this month. Before we get started, we want to thank all of our sponsors that have supported us throughout the year: D&D Beyond, Eldritch Foundry, Beetle and Grimm's Pandemonium Warehouse, and of course, RockPunch. We also want to thank all of you, our fans and viewers, for supporting us, because without you, none of this is possible. And to show our appreciation, we are giving away a D&D Beyond Legendary Bundle for you for Christmas to one lucky person tonight at the end of the Q&A. To enter, please type #Beyond into the chat. Only enter one time, so you're not disqualified. And RockPunch subscribers are 3 times more likely to win. So, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, now is a really great time to do that, because that legendary bundle is a hot ticket item, and your D&D game will never be the same. But one thing we are also so excited about, we've talked about it for a long time, and now they are here. We are so excited to officially announce that Harold's purple rash pants are now available in the shop, and we have a new stock of hoodies. But you can see Devin and Dustin holding up the rash pants. They are a nice, vibrant, you can't tell on this screen, but they are a nice, vibrant purple.
They are purple. They're not blue.
They're not blue. I promise they are purple.
They're very purple.
You can either follow the merch link in the chat, or you can go to d4dnd.com to get over there and buy yours now, because if you want them for Christmas, you gotta get them this week.
Devin, can I have my pants back, or?
Oh no!
You know what? You keep them. Just let me know how it all turns out.
I figured that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So, yes, get your D4 merch today as a gift to your very own BFF, and stay warm during the holiday season. So we got coffee mugs, we got hoodies, and now we have sweatpants. The only thing we're missing is a D4 blanket to keep you cozy and warm. Maybe next year, guys.
Maybe that'll come up.
We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see. It's all up to you guys. So, but anyways, it is my pleasure to get to say this tonight, but without further ado, let us immerse ourselves into the D4 Fireside Chat.
Ooh.
All right. How is everyone tonight?
Really good.
I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
I'm excited.
So,
You're here.
Yay! I'm normally behind the scenes with Bailey, but I'm so excited to get to be your host tonight. But who is ready to deep dive into some questions? I hope y'all are ready.
A lot has happened this year. I actually went through everything that happened. Just so you know, we started the year with the carnival where the ship blew up. There was a schemo problem. I'm not sure if you guys remember all of that.
Yep. I remember him.
There was oh man, there was so much more. I'm forgetting it all now.
I will say, I was making up the D4 Binge-a-thon schedule for next week, and starting tomorrow, we're going through session 38 to 58, which entirely encompasses the change over the year from moving from Inside Meeple to the new studio to remote to now. So if you want to see the year in a nutshell, watch the D4 Benchathon next week.
So much has happened. You guys have done so much over this year. I still can't believe it's.
There's a lot of stuff. There's
So
a lot of
much
stuff.
stuff.
You guys have done a lot.
You guys have done a lot. Yeah.
I
We're
think
almost done with Dragon Heist.
Almost.
Almost.
For a
You
year.
guys have done a lot to us.
Yes, and we've enjoyed all of it. It's been a great
Every
year.
minute.
It's been amazing.
I will say before we hop into questions that Cadkins will be joining us. She'll be coming in hot very soon, but just FYI, she will be here.
Yes.
And so we'll get to questions specifically for V once.
Yes, Lanky Boy was this year.
Lanky boy.
Lanky Boy
That
was this
seems
year.
like 4 years ago.
Lanky boy.
Early? That was done, I think, in March or
Yeah.
Yeah.
February, something like that.
That was still at studio.
Still at studio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
was
still
right at the
studio.
beginning of the new studio.
February.
Because I can feel the ire radiating off of Logan as we told him we were going for Lanky Boy.
Finley's Resurrection was this year
Yeah.
Yep.
with
Which one?
or Akira.
Okay, before we get into that, we need to let everyone know this is a total spoiler zone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you are not caught up,
Yep.
Or
you either need to not care about spoilers or you should
gotta
watch the
talk about all
VOD when you're caught up.
But
Because we're talking about all the things.
Yeah.
if you are new here, thanks for joining us. Don't care about a couple of spoilers.
Yes.
Hopefully things that you hear tonight will entice you to go back and binge watch all of the episodes that are available on the Rock Punch YouTube or at therontoexperience.com.
So spicy.
So spicy. It's a spicy meatball.
So this isn't an official question, but I am curious. Real life year equals how many game days?
Ooh.
Oh,
I honestly, I really think, I truly believe, because we ended one year with a festival and ended this year almost at a festival again. So I think it's 1 month per year.
Yeah.
It's about how fast you guys play.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like 30-ish days.
Yeah.
I was going to offer to break out the calendar, but I think
So,
right.
so the BFGs have been a glorious best friends guild for 2 months
Yes.
in
Oh
game
my.
time.
Yes.
Hey,
Wow.
risking your life with people throws you together in bonds that you wish you didn't have. I didn't expect to have.
That is
Right.
true both in and out of play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, you guys. Are we ready to get into some questions?
Oh
Sure.
boy, here we
We
go.
got
Oh, there she is.
Just in time.
I made it. Oh my god.
We
did,
haven't gotten into questions yet, so you are perfectly timed.
Oh, excellent. Hold on. Let me update like what is happening. Oh, okay, camera's good. Is sound better?
Yes,
sound
you
great.
sound great.
Oh, great.
Yay, thank God. I'm having to use the mic through the webcam, so.
It sounds fine, and I like your festive background and your.
Yeah, is it okay if I have Jack Skellington?
Oh,
Great.
love it. It's a
It's-
Christmas movie.
It's absolutely a Christmas.
This
I love
this
it.
is all I had that could do with Christmas, and then this was here, so.
It was perfect. So good.
I love it.
I found this random
I love
Santa.
it.
I found the Santa in this bag of Merry Christmas.
It was in the neighbor's yard.
A bag
It
of
was
Merry
behind
My,
us.
ba-
I
it's
had
my
nothing but
baby.
Christmas stuff, so I just did ugly Christmas eyeshadow.
Oh, that's a baby?
Amazing.
Are you going to eat it?
It's a baby?
I mean, are we live?
Yes.
Yes, we are
Hey,
so live.
All right. We were just about to get into questions.
Let's
Matt?
hit those questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have questions for the group as a whole. We have questions for the DMs. We have questions for you guys individually. So we are going to do our best to get to everything. You guys have sent us so many questions. We greatly appreciate it. But if you guys are ready.
Good.
Oh, Cadkins, I'm
so
so glad
ready.
you're here now.
I
Let's-
will.
We are ready. We're ready for this.
I want to throw
Okay.
out a little warning tag, Kevin and I may answer with a find out info.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
There may,
Yes.
depending on how in depth it gets, we may, because we definitely want that real shock from our players, as you want to know from what we have put them through. But please, let's get to the question.
Speaking of shock factor, that kicking off this year was it was done with quite a bang. So
But
boat explosions and everything.
Yep.
It's fine.
You're just
Anyways.
as bad as Dustin.
All right, let's get into some questions. The first question is from our lovely, lovely moderator, Strike Red Kite. We could not do this without Strike. We love you, Strike.
Hey,
But Strike would love to know, how did everyone come up with the classes they'd be playing? Were the classes chosen and characters formed from there? Or did you have a concept and have to decide what class that person would be? I would say, let's go down the line. So Goblin, how about you start?
I had never played a paladin before, so when I got asked if I wanted to play, it had been so long since I played, I figured I'm gonna have to relearn the stuff anyways. I'll go with a class I'd never played. So I came up with the idea of a paladin, and I asked the guys if I could be, I wanted to be like a really bookish paladin and be all about knowledge and information, and they came up with the oath for me, and it was awesome. So that mine was easy.
I love it. And now we have the Seisha we know today. So, all right. What about you, Rhea?
So, as most of y'all already know, I played Vinley before for a home game. But this question, I literally had the idea of, I'm going to play a necromancer because no one ever plays them and I want to see what they can do. And then I slowly and methodically wrote down like 2 whole pages of backstory for this character. And then I just melded her into a new world.
So fun story. I actually played in that home game with you,
Yeah.
with Vinley. And she did not last long in that campaign because something happened and she was like, I wouldn't be a part of this. Bye.
Yeah. That Vinley was not a hero by any means. Like, she would not risk her skin to save really anyone else.
Well, we love this
We're
Vinley.
lucky we have Vinley
Yes.
that we do.
So lucky.
Hey, it was very real that she could have gone that same route, but because of the relationships she built, she is now invested in you people.
I remember the moment she almost did.
It was a sour look you gave us after the end of that. You're like, invest in you people.
Everything's a time investment.
All right. How about you, Logan?
I was the last one to, I think, make and pick a class, so I think it was what we didn't have. Like, it was, yeah, I think that was basically it. Like, everybody had chosen whatever class they wanted to be at that point. It was just what we didn't have in terms of utility. So it was rogue, and I looked at the subclasses and I thought swashbuckler was really powerful. Because
You're not wrong.
no, and that was essentially it. Like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and then the class came first, and then the characters started being made after that. But yeah, it was just like, what don't we have? It's like, well, we don't have a rogue. It's like, all right, and fill in that slot.
Love it. Love it. Hey, sometimes you gotta do what's best.
Gotta fill a slot.
Is best. Exactly. So, all
That's
right,
all- that's
Ethan,
all-
what about you?
It's all Voss is just a slot filler.
Slot
Not
filler.
an extreme
Yeah.
character
Yeah,
at all.
right.
No,
Yeah.
No depth there at all.
None.
All right,
I-
Ethan.
I hadn't played D&D in years when I got asked to be a part of the show. I was very, very excited. And from when I last played D&D, Bard was the weakest class. And I was like, I'm going to play the weakest class. And I was super wrong. Bard is quite strong, if not one of the strongest classes. So I knew I was going to play a Bard right off the bat just because I thought, oh, well, that'll be fun and different. And I've never played a Bard kind of character before. Yeah, that was basically it. And then Harold came from, I need a character that has all of the things that I do the most and the best, so that, you know, the reason they asked me to be on the show, it's at least on display for one season at least. And so he had everything that I kind of liked about making characters all squashed into one package.
Yeah, no, you definitely highlight all of your strengths with playing Harold. So I've seen you in action at LARP.
That's a whole different story.
And yeah, but you like that, you know, they were like, Ethan's one of the strongest role players we know, and this just fits you like a glove.
Thank you.
Man.
I love
At least
being part of it.
Seems like that to me.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. It definitely feels like almost a continuation of our good old days, and I love that.
Yeah. All right, and last but not least, Cadkins.
Hi. Okay.
How did V
so
come about?
I actually originally wanted to be a bard, but it was taken, and they were like, "We can't have 2 bards," and I was like, "Fuck." So then I had to think about it, and I realized that every single D&D character I've ever played is always high charisma of some level, and usually kind of evil too. Like I usually play kind of evil people, a lot of magic, a lot of like rogue ranger type stuff. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something I've never done before. What is a class I've never played? And I was like, I have never played a class where I just run up and hit things. And I was like, I think I really want to just run up and hit things and not worry about being in the back all the time and like trying to talk my way out of situations. So I was like, I'm gonna be a barbarian. And then I was like, okay, well, how can I make this character interesting and not like an idiot? Because when people think of a barbarian, they're just kind of like, oh, do hurt.
Yeah, the big dumb jock, essentially.
Doofus people kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I know she's gonna have low intelligence and I still have to play that. Like, what is the best way to do that? And I was like, well, I guess it could be funny if she was kind of like a valley girl, like, oh my God, it's just sort of that sort of vibe. And I was like, okay, but how could that make sense for her being a barbarian? And the only thing I could come up with was that she comes from like some sort of noble family. And so that's when I came to Dustin and Devin and was like, how can we make this make sense?
Yeah.
Because like I know we're in a city, but like I'm a barbarian and I want to be a Goliath because I got the feeling that everyone was gonna be like an elf or human type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be like a different race that stood out.
Right.
Plus, in my past, I've only ever played like elves and humans.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like branch out, and I figured if I want to be a barbarian, a Goliath is a really great race for that.
Yeah,
class.
they really are.
And that's just sort of how that came together. Backstory might have loosely been based on Moana. I don't know. Like, maybe I watched Moana recently before doing this.
I love it. I love it. Oh, man. Oh, it's so, and again, now here you are 2 years later, and everyone.
I really love running up and hitting things and not talking my way out of situations. I've definitely played some characters in the past where I was like, oh, this is too much, and just like left the party.
That's what you have a best friend bard for.
Yeah, let me just say, having the backup of if I screw up the conversation, V's gonna make it all right anyway is just great.
Yeah.
Oh
I do know the very first thing I did ask Justin and Devin was, can my backstory be tied to Ethan?
I
was super excited when they came to me with that too. I was like, okay, yes, of course.
Yeah, I was like, I just want to be close to Ethan.
Amazing.
So adorable.
The V and Harold friendship is like, I love it so much.
A lot of
it's such
time
a
it
great
reflects.
dynamic.
A lot of time it reflects our real friendship. So it just feels it comes very naturally to us to just kind of play that way because like we worked together for years and it was just kind of very easy to just go right back to that.
But y'all bounce off each other so well.
Yeah.
So there are times, especially in the earlier episodes when y'all were really like starting to get going and stuff. And especially if you go back and watch the session 0, like Cadkins and Ethan were so in sync with everything they did. I'm like, how is this improvised? How is this a D&D game? Because y'all are so in tune with each other. It's crazy amazing.
Watching that session 0, whew, she broke my heart.
I know.
Immediately we're just sobbing. Like, so when Ethan and I used to work together, we used to just like do improv bits as we were working and like create random ass characters and just do that like all the time. And there's many a time where you were like, you need to come LARP. And I was like, I want to, but never got around to actually being able to do it. But I plan on changing that once the pandemic is over.
Yes.
All right.
All right. All
This is a
right.
good one.
We've got a lot of questions to get through. So
Let's do it.
let's chug along. All right, our darling Petunia, Ray Berry, for everybody, what do you feel has been your character's greatest improvement in, well, their character?
I'll take this one first.
Okay.
So it was very obvious from day one that there was heavy tension between Vinley and Harold, mainly dealing with the fact that she was a high elf and he was a half elf, because where she was raised, there were a lot of underlying racial tensions going on. And my biggest thing this year was really showing the effects on a person's mind in that mind state, like in that headspace, with Harold, and how Vinley has changed throughout these last 2 months with Harold in particular and with everyone in general, because I feel like Vinley has become a lot nicer towards strangers even at this point, where she doesn't automatically assume A, you're here to kill me, or B, you're disgusting anymore.
Yeah.
And I have to say Vinley owes that in a lot of parts to Harold and Seisha and V and Voss, because they completely changed her opinions on everyone, saying, no, you are fine. And you are going to be okay.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I'll take the next one. It's pretty straightforward. I think that Harold has been through a lot the past 2 years. I think this year especially he's been, I know, right? What a stunning look at the DMs, like, I don't know what he's talking about. I think that one of the big improvements of Harold is not letting that change his convictions for good, and wanting to be a better person and wanting to do the right thing by people. And even if he's a little more I guess paranoid, he's a little more scared and less trusting. He hasn't let it turn him bad, and he sees every bad thing happening to him as more reason to be good. I think that's the big improvement between him. But considering previously he would have taken the easy road, every opportunity he could have, he never would have done and confronted Manchun and done all these things he's done. He never would have done any of that.
Yeah.
And now I like that every bump in the road makes him stronger rather than breaks him up. It's fun playing a character who builds on himself. Okay.
And how do you spend 6 years with Okira as your only person you're around and not become a better person?
Absolutely. And that was definitely the motivation for making him a good character from a neutral one.
Yeah.
When he would have been a shady guy, and would have been more like a smart talking like coward, as opposed to now where he's kind of like this take charge, serious, like throws himself to the wind and makes a lot of risky decisions that often don't pay off for him. And I like that about him. He's throwing his all into saving people, and I think that's a big improvement.
I love it.
Thank you.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go. For Seisha, I think the most beneficial change she's gone through this year has been letting go of judging people, and learning to appreciate people for who they are instead of what she wants them to be. That took a bit of doing, especially when she was thrust into murder parties, and that was sort of her introduction to the world. So she had to learn to understand that sometimes murder is the answer. So, and just learning that you can get things done and be a good person. Maybe not always doing the good things, but that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you're doing bad things, and there's a difference, and that's meant a lot to her.
Yes.
Just
Side
because
note.
you are a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy, Seisha.
Side note, murder is only the answer sometimes in a D&D game.
Murder is always the answer at a LARP.
All right, who's next?
The main thing that's changed with Voss is that he's just working more with the community at large, not just within the group, but also like now the Harpers Mert, every resource available to him has kind of like become an encompassing group.
The bully guard.
Huh?
The bully guard.
Yeah, just turning that into its own thing and interacting more with the city and the world around him as opposed to just doing things on his own. I would say that's the major change.
And I feel like he's not as one-track minded about the sole reason he's in Waterdeep anymore.
We've gotten like one step closer on that, but it's more about, well, I mean, there are a lot of different factors now because we now know that Manshun is moving, Xanathar is moving, the Harbinger is moving, and it's beyond the scope of what the group can do. So we need to look for other avenues to deal with it. And that's kind of what he's been doing all of the year 2.
Yep. All right, and Cadkins?
Alrighty, so I feel like first thing V has learned is to like be scared of things that aren't just her dad. Yeah,
Your dad is not the worst thing out there.
Not the worst thing out there. Like she always felt like he was. In her mind, she was just like, I can survive him. I can survive anything, kind of a deal. And she learned that she really, really like creatures with weird eyeball situations are just a no-go, big old no-go. Like magic sucks. Hate that. Hate a lot of things. I feel like she has very much. She's always had like a certain level of like selfish tendencies, an inability to kind of see outside of herself a lot. She definitely struggled with obviously feeling like she even wanted to be part of the group, just because she's just like, you've watched the show. And I feel like what's really changed for her is that, she's realized that just leaving and like she doesn't have to necessarily leave the city in order to, feel like she can go off and be her own person and find her own little family and whatnot. For when she first left her home, she really thought it was just going to be her and Harold for a while, and it immediately wasn't, and it really threw her off. And so she's definitely learned to love everybody, I guess, and like be okay with it and not realize that like she doesn't always have to do like what she wants. Sometimes it's important to help out and do what other people want to do as well.
Yeah. And she's figuring out her own way to help the city.
Yeah, she's just always a little bratty, I guess. And she's learning to be less like that and like actually caring about others.
Wow, a noble bratty? What?
Huh?
Noble bratty? What?
No, never.
Never, ever.
From the
teenage bratty noble? What? Like?
Well, she's 20 now.
Yeah, that's true. She did have a birthday.
She had a birthday. She got a little older.
And it was such a wonderful birthday too.
From the DM side, I'm sure there's going to be questions about it and things like that, and we'll get more in depth then, so don't answer anything. But I will say that over the past month in game, you all have grown together a lot and put aside differences, even if it is in small situations, and come to an understanding as a group, whether it be for a greater good or just for the benefit of the group and as a whole, and to be there for each other, which has been probably one of my favorite things about this past year. Because the first year there were a couple of characters, Vosby, sorry, there's something in my throat, that didn't seem like it was ever gonna meld, but you did. And you may not be the best of friends, but you found common ground, and that's a huge triumph.
I love the way when we're in a fight, Voss and V just vector to each other and just tear through whatever unfortunate thing is in their path.
I was
watching them work together in a fight is a thing of beauty.
That's the power duo in combat.
Yeah, they may not like each other, but they will defend each other.
Yeah, and that's really cool. And I also just dig the way that like we all grew as a group, and like the argument we had over the Castellaners and their fate, We never could have had that at the same time the year before. Never.
Oh.
It would have
never
turned
would
into
have
a fight.
Yeah, we would, the group would have broken up. Now we were able to have that and finally be like, you know what? We've all made the decision and that's that. And
Yeah.
that
We'll probably get that'll probably get brought up later.
Yeah, we'll let that continue. Yeah. That's a good
All right. So RoboGoblin has a question for Harold. What inspired you to come up with the Avron cloak on the last fight inside Halam's mind? Do you think that power comes from him, or does it come from his belief in Avron?
I think that it comes from a belief in a person that Harold. It's the belief. I don't think it came from Avron. I don't think Avron gave it to him. I think that in Harold's mind, Avron is a man who made mistakes and wasn't really a good person his entire life, and recognizes that now and is working in his own way to try to correct the mistakes he made in the past. And Harold respects Avron because he doesn't come across as a god. He comes across as like just a dude you met in the bar, just like a friend. He likes to talk about the reverence he has for himself, but deep down, I think Avron, much like Harold, has a sort of almost like a self-defeating nature where he feels like everything's not enough. And so Harold respects and kind of he feels a lot for Avron. And I think that the reason he chose to make his armor and the cloak and all of that in the image of Avron is because he wants to kind of reach that. Listen to this music swelling as I read this part. It's ridiculous. Todd's probably over there going, yes. So but it is one of those things where Harold has a deep respect for the man and wants to emulate that kind of life where it's like, I know I made mistakes. I know I can't erase them, but I can try to make my future a better one for everyone around me. And so, even if he makes jokes at Harold's expense, I think that Harold and him both have a respect for each other, and that's kind of where that came from.
It is canon that Harold's his second favorite warlock now.
I know, so I've heard.
Yeah. All right. So this next question is for Rhea from Merch Mom 2. Vinley typically doesn't care too much for others outside of her family, meaning the BFGs and stuff like that. What are the reasons for her to feel so strongly and protective with children who possess magic abilities, or just children in general?
So, that's something I've never really gotten to fully explore with Vinley, like in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Like I first noticed it when I was playing her and Declan started showing magical interest, and Vinley felt immediately gravitated towards him.
Yeah.
And the same with in the session 0 with Seisha. She was radiating this kind of spark of innocence.
Yeah.
That Vinley was like, this can't go out.
Yeah.
Like by any means necessary, this spark is not allowed to die out.
Yeah.
And she sees that in like Declan and Alpha Lead especially, because she's been through so much, yet she still maintains a spark in her of goodness. So Vinley wanted to nurture that flame so that it comes to fruition. And as far as children in general, not just children with magical abilities, because of what happened to Vinley at an early age, she feels the overwhelming need to protect young. Yeah. And she often presents to most people as not caring about really anything else other than her, as like a defense mechanism almost, so you don't think she's caring for these children as much as she is, so that if you try to hurt her, she knows you won't go after them.
Yeah, got it. I remember your Vinley's first interaction with Declan when you were trying to get him to light the fireplace, and you were like doing it for him, and he was just like, oh, I did that. That was me. I did that. And he's like, Pixel, I did. Look what I did. And Pixel's like, cool, dude. Like, it was so just pure. And Vinley immediately just like gravitated and was all like, doesn't matter if you're actually casting the magic right now. I just need you to like
Believe
believe
you.
in yourself. Exactly.
Because she saw Declan as someone who was very hurt,
Yeah.
very broken by whatever he had seen or gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And she recognized that section of herself in him. And I'm watching you, DMs. I can see.
Yeah. I've been watching to make sure they're not taking notes.
But Declan is Vinley's real first child of magic. And I guess that's what I'll refer to them as, Vinley's children of magic.
Adorable. All right. So in less stab us in the heart, all the feels questions, Ray would like to know, D4 is known for many reasons, one of which is the maps the DMs make. What is everyone's favorite map? And this, and then I have a two-part question. Once the players answer, I have a two-part question for the DMs.
The swamp.
I was supposed to say the hag house with the
map you guys have made. That was so cool.
The hag house was so dope. I really
house.
loved it.
Yeah.
I liked this from this year, that the arena we fought in
That was
Xanathar.
Mhm.
Oh,
With
how
the with the
cool was
magnets
that?
to pull
With
the pin
magnets
up.
that pull
Oh,
the pin
yeah.
Yeah.
up, and like I was like, haha, not in a place where there's, oh shit, there's another one.
Yep. Oh no, you fall into a vat of acid.
Yeah,
Whoops.
every single time that it swapped, it was just like, how did they think of that? And I loved that map. I love that fight. I loved every fight in that map. Oh my god.
The green screen map also really surprised me too.
Oh, yeah.
With, like the floating, like
The-
pieces
oh,
of sand was
yeah.
really
Beer
cool.
map.
The beer map was badass. Yeah.
Yeah.
A very simple map that I really liked just because of its aesthetic value and how beautiful it was the entrance when we were in the book. The entrance to the forge.
Oh yeah.
Where
yeah.
the two mechanical beings were, where it had that long bridge and the volcano or
Giant
the
dwarf
lava.
head at the
It was gorgeous, and it wasn't like gadgety or like it didn't really do much. It just looked beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Logan? What's your
The
favorite
beer
map?
map was the one I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Just mechanically, because maps and encounters where you've got to fight the environment add an extra layer to whenever you're doing strategy, and also it wasn't a kill everything on the board map. It was a finish what this is map. Is like the objective was different
Yeah.
and the enemies were obstacles, and I like stuff like that.
Yep. All right, and then the part for the DMs is, what was your most challenging map to make, and what was your favorite map to make?
Most challenging, I think, is gonna Xanathar, because
it had to be built in layers. And a lot of math had to go into it to make sure that each of those layers lined up.
and the math to make those angles work, because we just got the procs on, and that was the first thing we made on the procs on.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Lifesaver. Doing that without that was awful. But and then having it to where the top layer that has the removable pieces is slightly larger than the layer underneath, so that it doesn't fall through. It has a ledge that it goes onto.
Right.
Following the magnets. Yeah, that's definitely I think the most challenging,
The most interesting map.
the most intricate map we've made, aside from the swamp map, which was challenging and problematic.
Yeah, I would say that one was the most problematic, and but in design aspects, it really wasn't that difficult. So Xanathar layer was definitely the most difficult, challenging map to make.
And was the Xanathar the Xanathar pit, I don't know why I just struggled with that. Was that also your favorite map, or do you have a favorite that you're just like, this is one of the coolest?
I really like the floating islands.
I really like the beer map too.
Isn't it great?
I also
I
really
was about
love
to say,
every map about the second dog book. It was just aesthetically like the ice tundra.
Yes.
It might be because it's a step away from buildings. Like we got to do terrain and more environmental and just a different aesthetic than buildings and streets and interior to buildings that we've been doing for 2 years. And so to actually have that, the snow map, the ice, water, lava fall with, and then the interior lava thing.
There might have been a reason why we went all out on those, because we were like, no, this has to be completely different.
Yeah, and then same with the beer with the floating islands. It's like, okay, we're somewhere different. Let's make it unique. And beer is such a unique plane of existence as it is, and we really wanted to push that.
And I just remember, I don't even remember how you guys came up with the idea for using the blue screen to put the background on it to make it look like it was floating. I don't even remember how that idea even came up.
So the way that came up was camera placement. Yep. You were looking into our house because we were remote, and so there was no way to film it so that it didn't look, one, so you're looking at our house, but two, so the background wasn't busy. So I was like, we have a blue screen. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens.
We can make it work. And oh boy, did it work better than we could have imagined, because the clear stands disappeared, and so they were literally floating.
And the baling wire that held up the floating stones disappeared for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though they were black.
Yeah. So everything just disappeared, and we were like, this looks so real. Yep. Plan it that way from the beginning.
Do you think using the background on the blue screen, considering we've been using the green screen for remote stuff, do you think you were more aware of that because of your film production backgrounds? Do you think if maybe you weren't as keen on that kind of stuff, you would have just maybe thrown up a cloth to hide the house?
Maybe, yeah. You know what? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
But also working remote, kind of using the green screen that we have already, because obviously this is not a real fire.
Yeah. Not a real fire at all.
I am actually in the woods.
Yes.
I am too. And there's a fire right there that I could aesthetically have behind me. Why didn't I do that? What am I doing?
V just took over.
You were coming in hot at the beginning, so you know.
Oh, but
are we live? We're live, right?
Live?
Yeah. Oh shit.
But yeah.
Oh my god. All right. Here is another question for our DMs. Casual Chaos asks, last year, we, the community, created an NPC on the Fireside Chat. Any idea when we will hear from the fan-made NPC from exactly a year ago?
Yes, we know exactly when they're coming in.
I would say there is something that had to happen specifically first in order for them to narratively make sense to come in.
Yep.
That thing has happened, and it will probably be soon.
Because Dustin and Devin don't do anything without a reason.
They're
not going to just stick in an NPC just to stick in an NPC.
Yep.
So they're yes, we know when they are coming in, and
the most we can say is soon.
Yeah.
I was about to say that seemed to be the question that I saw the most around the internet, was everyone was just like, when is this NPC coming in?
We thank you for your patience. We know it has been a year and some, because when he shows up, they show up, she shows up. Well, you know, the monster shows up.
Ooh, and we saw the player-made artifact at the bazaar.
We did.
Did we buy it?
You did not.
You did not.
No, we're gonna steal it though.
I don't remember what the artifact was.
No, what was it?
We can say that Harold noticed it. Yep.
Well, I don't remember shit. Don't put it on me. I'll have to go back and look. I'm gonna like disappoint the fans.
Was it the mysterious?
The fans are like, tell them about it, Harold. And I'm over there like, I don't know.
It was the goat, the ivory goat inside of the red fish gem. What you saw while you were exiting.
Are we allowed to know what it did?
I don't think we found out what it
No,
did.
remember it was in a glass case.
We either need to go back and rewatch last year's Fireside Chat or go back and watch the Bazaar episode.
Well, I never saw the Fireside Chat. So,
yeah, players can't watch.
Yeah, players can't watch.
That's true.
It, so it's one of those things.
That's
where
true.
Like, I am very curious about what that did.
I know. I want to know what it does.
Go back and watch that Bazaar
Did
episode.
we even afford it? Jesus.
No,
Yeah,
you
there's
can't
that.
afford it, but it was because you have to complete something first before you afford it.
Of course.
Interesting.
Can't make it easy. You can just go to the bazaar and buy stuff.
All right. Darth Coyote has a question for all of the players. And I actually really love this question. Last year, we the community, oh no, just kidding. That's the one I just read. Now that you have played your characters for a bit and have a feeling for the system, how would you have built your characters differently? What would you change? If you would change anything.
I don't think I'd change anything. I love Seisha for all her benefits and flaws. I love everything about her. There are some things that I think I'm going to come to regret in the next
I was
year.
about to say that one thing that you did thinking it would be really cool. How are you feeling about that now?
That thing that, can I just say what it is?
Yeah, sure.
So when we hit level 4, I took Magic Initiate Warlock because I thought, I want Lightning Lure. I want to be able to pull NPCs to me. And we had been experiencing so much stuff with the Far Realm. I was like, hey, it would be kind of cool if, because I died to one of the Far Realm beasties, if that kind of affected her, and kind of regretting that a little bit. I love it. I'm eating it up.
It's made for a great story.
But I'm also like, this may have not been the brightest choice I've made.
Yeah, because spoilers for everyone out there, Goblin herself loves dabbling with the Far Realm when she plays with characters. And she's like, oh, I'm going to do this with this character.
Yeah.
And Dustin and I both kind of looked at each other, looked at her and went, are you sure? And she was like,
I did hit the are you sure?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So that's, I don't think I would change it, but I think I'm starting to have regrets.
I was about to say, 2 of our characters have taken at least some sort of levels in Warlock or a feat or something, and
I chose the wrong.
And they are not similar at all.
I chose the wrong patron. That's
the patron chose you.
That's true.
That's what happened. Yep.
That's true. All right.
Oh wait, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think I would change anything. Harold's my favorite bard build. They asked me if I would take levels of Warlock, and I was like, sure.
Oh, so Warlock was not your personal choice?
It wasn't something I was like going for. They said like, hey, you have an opportunity here. If you wanted to take a level of Warlock or something would happen. And you can do that if you want to, but you don't have to. If you want to stick with bard, it's totally fine. But you know what they tell me? You can do this thing and things might happen because of it. How am I going to say no to that? I want things that happen to me. So
here's this red button. Do you want to push it?
So
always yes.
It's always yes. So I hit the button and that led to everything. And all I wanted were 2 levels so I could get my Eldritch Blast up to hurting things. Yeah. And I did that. Back to bard, baby.
We'll see. And that was the thing, was I was really curious how you got tied specifically with Averin, because that was a very, me being on the outside.
I can answer that question. He jumped into the bag.
Yep.
That's it.
That's true.
Anybody that jumped into that bag could have had the option of being tied to something else beyond D4. Yep. And cool. Harold was the one that dived into the bag.
Cool. That's really cool.
Multiverse, all right.
Yeah.
And that sparked that episode sparked the D&D multiverse of kind of the crossovers between all the
been
shows.
Really fun and really great.
Amazing.
All right. Who's next? Who next? Who would have changed? Who wouldn't have changed?
Katie.
All right. So I feel like I should have been more mindful from early game just how not smart he is, and I should have been writing names down for sure. I forget all the damn names because there's so many names in this campaign, and never in my life in any game of D&D ever did I struggle this much with this many freaking NPCs and this many names. It is so much. And so while it was a personal flaw of mine to not actually know the names of anything, I was like, I guess this could make sense because she's kind of dumb and doesn't pay attention. But also I don't know, I feel like I should have been more mindful about how ditzy she kind of is and stuff. Because obviously she doesn't view herself as that. So she's just like, hey, why am I not included in this really important decision? And whatnot, but I just feel like I could have played that a little better from the get-go. I'm so used to playing just evil, clever people that I was really thrown off on how do I be nice to the point to where the first time I killed someone, I like forgot that would be like an issue for V, and they were like, "You kind of just murdered someone." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I had to have an existential crisis now."
Yeah. No, V immediately going to throw up after she killed that Kinku was just like, that was, to me, that was one of the coolest moments, because it makes such sense for her of she has this idea of what the world is and what she wants from everything, but then when it came down to it and she actually like killed something, she was like, oh god, what did I just do?
And I think a lot of people skip over that
Yeah.
kind of aspect of role play, and I think it's a testament to Katie Adkins' mindfulness of the character, is like taking the moment to be like, oh wow, that's true, I guess I did just kill somebody, and like that, and like letting her, I thought that was a really cool role play moment that I've never seen at a table before.
Yeah, for sure. But everyone's grown so much. Either Logan or Rhea.
Go ahead, Rhea.
Only thing I would change about Vinley's build is I would have done average hit points.
Because someone thought it would be great to roll her hit points.
I'm a gambler. What can I say?
Yeah.
How many are you up to now?
With the necklace, I'm at 66.
I think
there you go.
Okay.
Wait, what did you usually start off at? Like 12 or 6?
At level 1, I had 6 hit points.
6 hit points. That's what it was.
Rhea, I have 64.
Y'all, but the thing is that y'all boosted Venley so hard because she was so squishy.
Yeah.
So.
What about Logan?
Is what I'm getting.
I built Voss for versatility, which I was fine with. His low con and strength actually come from the fact that he was burned.
Yeah.
So it was a role play choice to make both those stats the low stats. Nothing really. I might have spec more into duelist, maybe just because it's a trade-off. Not so much the extra attacks, but you get higher AC. For being a duelist. It's all strategic shit, but as for his beginning build, no, maybe spec more into persuasion or deception, something like that, but I'm fine with how he is.
So you didn't have to rely on your goody
on Harold the Bastard Man.
Yeah, Harold the Bastard Man.
To do my work for me.
But Dan and Boss don't try to persuade people.
He does a great job 99% of the time. I
had to make a good argument.
I'm the stubborn like splinter in his finger right now, because I know that if I just would go his way, we could rule the city. But I'm not.
Dylan.
I will save that conversation for when we play again. But yeah, that's something we'll talk about.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah. The Dark Trinity of Voss, Vinley, and Harold effectively got broken up when Harold returned as a good guy. And we were all just standing there
Good-ish.
No, now you're a good guy, and I can be proud of you.
Who? Harold?
Oh, wow! Thanks. I appreciate.
Now she's proud of you.
Wasn't there like a part of the unconditional love thing that was like? I feel like that we missed a part.
I do not know
love
that.
You and be disappointed in you. Look at Voss.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh. On a completely different note, RoboGoblin asks the DMs, how the hell do you come up with the titles of the episodes with only D words?
It's a community effort. We'll actually, after every episode, we'll throw up into our cast chat of, all right, episode titles, go. And we kind of workshop it and spitball it. And, each episode will have the words will tie into the episode itself. But yeah,
what's amazing is that there's been very few repeats. There's been a couple, but there's been very few repeats after 87 episodes. 87.
Yeah.
There's a lot of D words out there.
Are you sponsored by Thesaurus?
We should.
I use it.
The Merriam-Webster Thesaurus.
I will say one of our favorite working titles for anything was when we fought the Winter's Wind. Someone, and I can't remember who said it, I think it was Seisha, who said, double downer spells and Daryl's Durst Dire Ball. And it killed me.
My favorite working title, but we couldn't use it because it's legitimately copywritten. I don't remember what episode it was for. I think it was for the box episode, but it was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Yeah.
And we literally can't use that because it's an AC/DC song.
I think my favorite was Drama, 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 and Dogs.
And Dogs.
I think we used that one. We did.
My favorite.
That one was a
We
title. And just aired
Of the
recently.
first dog book.
Drama, 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 and Dogs.
Yep.
First dog adventure.
I always throw out useless words if I ever participate, so it's usually like doo-doo daddy or like something. They're just like, no. I was like, but I think what if?
Yeah, I think everybody has put a word out that we've used or a title out that we've used.
Daryl's Durst Dire Ball was, I think, Harold. I think it was Ethan that suggested that one.
I don't remember.
It wasn't me. I know I wish I had, but it wasn't me. Damn, that was clever.
I don't know. It's
Somebody was clever.
So when you run out of D words, will you then switch to V words because you already have Voss, Finley, and Vio Miliana?
We don't know what happens when we run out of D words. So
We'll see.
Start back at the
We use
beginning.
D words.
We'll hope that people don't have an Excel sheet and are keeping track. That's what we'll do.
It's all on you. It's all on YouTube.
We'll hope they are over there going, aha, yeah, they're doing it.
All right. Strike asks everybody, who would you want to play you in the film adaptation of D4, assuming you were unable to cast yourself?
I saw this question earlier today, actually. I just happened to look at it by accident and it pulled it up, and I had the perfect idea for Vinley. And listen to my explanation because it's going to get wild. I want Jennifer Lawrence to play. Wait.
Okay.
Put your neck back in order, Devin. I want Jennifer Lawrence to play Vinley because she has played Katniss, who was a slender person, and she caught flack for that because she was a normal, healthy person instead of literal. And I think that would create great publicity for the movie. And I think that Vinley, while having like the emotional range of Katniss Everdeen of very serious and like somber, I've seen Jennifer Lawrence play other characters who are also very happy and like witty. And I think she encapsulates Vinley's attitude very well.
So you didn't do a fan cast, you did a producer cast.
Yeah.
No kidding.
So here's my fan cast for Vinley. I just thought of this. I kind of want Tilda Swinton.
Oh, yes.
See,
Yeah.
you asked that of us, but what I want is I want y'all to come to fan cast. To me, that's where I get the most enjoyment from that is what do y'all want
The
to
community.
see? The community want to see as far as a fan cast goes. Those are always fun.
I guess somebody who's funny and fun. The guy, there's this English actor named Samuel Barnett who played Dirk Gently in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I think he would be a phenomenal Harold. He's got he runs with a panic just flawlessly, and I think he could handle it. I think Elijah Wood could handle it.
Yes.
I think Elijah Wood would be another great casting. Either of them, they're both in Dirks. They're both great.
I would say for Seisha, either it's got to be a redhead, obviously. Deborah Ann Wall, because I love her and she is so good. Or Lily Cole,
So good.
who, if you ever seen the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, she was the female lead in that. And she just has this perfect angelic looking face. And I love her to death. She's a wonderful actress. So one of the two of them.
Lars Mikkelsen. Thin voice, striking presence, good stare. Yeah.
Good stare is very important for Voss.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
His eyes are very.
Yeah.
Sure not Christopher Walken?
Chris, I mean, if we're
no
doing
one can
if
see
we're
me
doing
move.
the comedic version of it, sure. I mean, I just love to be in a room with Christopher Walken. I don't care what the excuse is.
Yeah. All right, and Cadkins.
Used like a low wire.
I want you to forget my
Okay,
face.
This is difficult because, like, if you Google buff actresses, they're all tiny. Like, there are none.
Camera
And
tricks,
that's
baby.
really shitty. And so I feel like she just, like, I feel like Via kind of has to be an unknown cast kind of a situation. But I would really, really prefer her to be of, like of some sort of like Latina African descent. I feel like her darker skin color is really, really important to me, as well as just her size. It's really important to me that she is really built, like naturally, not naturally, obviously, but like she works for it, but she's also it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
She's a Goliath.
Yeah.
But it's really important to me that it has to be an actress who can be like super strong, but also still have like that feminine side for like just how they are in everyday life when not fighting people and whatnot. It's just
what about the chick from Black Panther that played the head of the guard? I'm totally blanking on her name.
Ooh.
Okoye,
Yeah.
who plays her?
I don't remember her name.
don't remember.
Really
Let me
cool.
look up.
I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck in this idea of
muscular build.
I'm still stuck
Not
on
as big
Christopher
as-
Walken Voss. I just keep thinking about. Like, I haven't even seen your face. Let that little mystery keep you up at night. And he like jumps out the window.
All right.
I mean,
but
it'd be a
here's-
very different feel.
So for me, it is my just life goal now to, at some point in the future, produce a live action adaptation of D4. Whether it's a TV show or a
That'd
movie
be
or
wild.
whatever. I need it to happen.
Wild.
That would be wild.
There you go.
I would cast
So-
Logan as Voss. Logan could be Voss.
Yeah.
I'm too big for Voss, actually.
That's true. You are.
Voss
You,
is,
you're
Voss
very.
is on the thin side.
That's very true.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of y'all could play your characters, and I could not play V. Maybe I could play
All
Vinley.
right.
I don't
You have
know.
to do CGI. He would be CGI'd in.
Yeah. No, V would definitely have to be like
Could be CGI.
CGI'd
Yeah.
bigger than everyone else because
I mean, you could do like the whole practical effects like they did in Lord of the Rings, where they made them like people look much bigger and smaller and stuff like that. Like you can do that. You know?
Shots.
Yep. All right, on to the next question. The next question is for everybody again. Nararin wants to know, after the world is saved, what do you think your character's happily ever after looks like? Everyone is totally befuddled by this question.
I think maybe
Mhm.
it would look like, I mean, he would want to be around his friends, but I imagine most of his friends would want to kind of go do their own thing. If we're talking like the very end, like the end of it all, and they're like, you know, hey, we're all going our separate ways. We're all, you know, we have our own wants and needs and our own adventures to go on now. I imagine him and Petunia would try to go live close to wherever V was and just hope that everybody would stay close. He would just try to stay connected to everybody and would probably go on trying to teach other people in the Harpers how to use their charisma to glide through espionage missions.
Yes.
I think Vinley, like where I see her, that's the question, right? Where we see their happily ever after kind of moment.
If you even have an idea of what that would look like at this point.
I think I have an idea of Vinley's happily ever after, mainly because I've thought about it nonstop since I went to the Font of Knowledge as Vinley, where Vinley wishes to gain the approval of the Elven Council of Gods to become a Baelnorn and protect not only her family lineage, like the children that she inevitably, the offspring. After she finds a suitable mate, she will acquire offspring and teach them the ways of necromancy and become a Baelnorn to protect not only them, but all of the family lineages of the BFGs, because everyone knows that she's an elf, she's going to outlive them, period. So once she becomes a Baelnorn and her life is extended even further, she would feel this sort of responsibility to make sure that every single one of their families lives a happy, productive life. And if anyone steps in the way of that, they would get quickly removed from the face of this planet.
I love the phrase acquire offspring.
Yeah.
Acquire offspring.
Not have offspring or bear offspring, you're going to acquire them.
I will acquire them with a suitable mate.
All right. Who's next?
I would say with V being 20 and only having been outside of her family's house for like how long?
2 months.
Her idea of a perfect like ending would be like, I think traveling the world, trying to see as much as she possibly can, but she really doesn't want to do it alone. Like it's really important to her to have like that strong companionship, whether it be a friend or a lover or whatever. Like that's just something she very much wants. While she didn't originally see herself with like a large group, you know, she always saw herself as like maybe duo, maybe trio if we like someone else kind of a situation. I know that her goal is to definitely like not be in a city. Like it's very clear to her she does not resonate in a city and wants to go to the mountains and elsewhere and just to see what her options are.
Yep. So let me branch off because I was actually kind of curious about this question. Does V, because of the way it started, does V see an actual future with Renaer, or are y'all just playing it out until y'all can officially break it off?
So Renaer is definitely like V's first like real boyfriend kind of a thing. The way I wrote her history originally was like she had interests in boys and that kind of thing, and like kind of had like not really like boyfriends but like boy interests and whatever, but like this is the first time she's like actually like dating someone, so she's not very good at it and she like really forgetful about it and it's just like, oh yeah, I have this person I'm supposed to like do stuff with. And so while she does really really like Renaer and very much appreciates him, I feel like they need more moments for her to really see if she can fall in love with him. Things have been so whirlwind crazy kind of a deal, and while she does really have like, you know, strong emotions for Renaer and likes him a lot, I'm sure she can see herself having 12 babies with him.
Yeah! There it is!
Like
I mean, she is only 20.
She's only 20, and Renaer
she can be done by the time she's 32. It's great.
Oh, Jesus. Oh
no. After 10 years of dating,
Inestrus 24/7.
How old is Renaer, by the way? He's late 20s, right?
He is
late 20s, early.
Yeah, he's probably. If I were to predict their relationship, I would say after a couple years, he would probably be wanting to push to settle down, and she wouldn't. And I think that would be what breaks them up. She'd be like, wait, I still want to go out and like do all these things and maybe want to see what else is out there for her, like most 22-year-old girls do.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, that quelled my inner curiosity.
Who's next?
Who is next?
Voss.
Um,
Don't roll your eyes at me, young man.
Don't tell me what to do, Mom.
Does Voss have a happily ever after?
And in his mind, it's never been important. It's always on to the next thing, and getting the goal accomplished. After that, it's never really mattered. I know if he gets everything done, how it's going to end, but I can't say.
Interesting. And then I think, is it just Goblin Love?
Is this what Katie thinks or what Seisha thinks?
It's just a general. What does Seisha have a happily ever after planned at this
Aisha
point.
doesn't think she gets a happily ever after.
Oh.
She is the way she sees it. She's an Asimar. She was born to serve, and her wants and needs are secondary to those of her god. So
Or perhaps my happily ever after was unclear. Continue, sorry.
She's basically, she believes that her work will end when she ends. And so she's not really thinking of a happily ever after. And that it's a thing with her.
We're gonna do a Seisha or Kiro buddy cop spinoff. Buddy cop life. Yeah. All right, I think that's everybody on that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are gonna start moving into some individual questions, and we will start with Harold. What was it like meeting your patron, and how has it changed the way you play a warlock?
It was great. First of all, Todd is one of my heroes of D&D. It's really cool. Getting to be involved in a story that he's involved in is of course a dream come true. Lauren and all of them are just the best. They're all so nice, and they've always been just amazing. For Harold and the whole connection with that, I think that Harold likes the fact that he can talk to. I don't think Harold would respect a being that is beyond his ability to have a conversation and to talk and to at least feel like, respected as an individual. And even though Avron likes to pretend he doesn't respect Harold, you can kind of tell in just some of the things he does and the effort he puts in, how much respect they have for each other. And I think that really, really shows. And I think that it changed Harold in so much that he doesn't feel like he's under someone's thumb. It feels almost like he's fulfilling something that he always should have.
Yeah. Does it feel more like a relationship than a service?
Yeah, I think so. I think
it's the right word.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more of like a hey, if you need me, I'm there. Yeah. And until then, I'm going to use your power, bud. And Harold respects the reason why Avron's being the way he is and like the changes he's making. So yeah, I think that I'm very excited about Harold and Avron. That's always super fun to have those two together.
It's been incredible getting to see all that play out, and I think that's one of the cool things, because y'all have been remote, that y'all have really gotten to and dive headfirst into.
And Megan was incredible too, and that was actually, her episodes were actually some of my favorites this year. Yeah. And Sophia's relationship with Harold is even better because she's just trying to make him feel better. It's so good.
Avron's not normal. Avron just does the things, and
she's great. And I think that those were absolutely some of my favorite episodes.
Love it.
We just need to get Alindra on so that we can have met the entire family.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
I'm just throwing that out there, Jen.
All right. The next question is for V. What has it been like learning about your family through seances, and what are your thoughts on your father supposedly being tied to the disappearance of your former betrothed?
Woof. All right. So, it's been really cool learning about, like, for V, it has been very, very cool to learn about her ancestors. She lives in this weird, like, limbo, like, world mentally, where she doesn't really feel like she's truly any one thing. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with who don't know anything about their ancestry, but like want to feel close and tied to something. Mm-hmm. And so getting to be able to connect through seances and through having like literal spirits like come out of her really helps her feel like she's not faking it. Like, this is something that's real and a part of her and is important and something that she can be proud of and not feel like imposter syndrome over. She's always felt like very imposter syndrome no matter where she goes, just due to who she is as a person and her upbringing. So this whole idea of having a place to belong is really important to her because she's just never truly felt like she did. She always, in a way, felt like a fish out of water. She picks things to do that give her comfort, like she knows she's good at fighting, that comforts her. Kind of a thing. And the thing about her dad, so me as like a player, I know we kind of learned a while ago that like her dad probably might have had something to do with it, kind of a thing, but like it wasn't really brought to V's attention until obviously recently, for those who are caught up. And me as a player, my own fear of her dad has like significantly increased over the course of time. Whereas
it's scary.
Where I know like V has always had like this weird, just like instinctual, just like fear of him, never felt like she was ever truly close to him or that he ever actually valued her as a person. She's more of like a tool, and you know, a lot of daddy issues with that, and it's finally setting in like just how horrible her dad like actually is, because she always knew and was like, yeah, my dad's shitty, like whatever, kind of a thing, and like played it off. It's almost like a weird joke to her personally, but I don't think she just realized to like what lengths of like evil her dad is like capable of and willing to do. And her experience with the Castellaners like also really helped highlight just like how she's starting, like how her view of the world and people is just really shifting a lot.
Your dad's kind of a mob boss.
Like it went from like, oh, I know there's bad people and good people and these people are bad and like whatever, but then it's like not really realizing just how bad people are.
All right. My next question is for our DMs. You have created the wonderful Resurrection D4 variant rules that people can now find on the DMs Guild. Do you have any plans on releasing any other content for homebrew rules or content in the future?
I am unsure.
Yeah, I think the next thing that we're gonna put out, I don't know if it'll be on DM's Guild or if we're just gonna release it, is our lingering injury.
We're still working on that. Is something that we got inspired by seeing other games and wanted to try out in this game, and have found due to a certain member of the party that has sneak attack, that certain things about the lingering damage have to be slightly altered for it to move on in the future. But we're working with that. It will be updated before the end of the year. There's that. It might be released, but other things are just simple rules that a lot of other games use. The critical damage rule is a very common one. Trying to think of any other variant rules we use.
I think those are the big ones.
Sanity stuff.
Sanity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
such a huge thing.
Yeah.
So in the DMG, there actually is a section for adding sanity to your game. We just took that idea and made it different.
It's wisdom saves normally, and it's used a lot in Out of the Abyss, as we can attest from previous campaign that I ran. But we wanted to actually make it a little bit more and make a 7th saving throw and actually make a sanity saving throw.
And instead of it being one that you roll for or anything like that, it takes the average of your mind, which is your intelligence and your wisdom, and creates an average from those modifiers, which seems like it would make the most sense as to how your mind can comprehend and rationalize the unfathomable.
Katie's setting up by her fire.
She might be getting a little bit more warm.
I think that's what we're gonna find out.
All right. My next question is just the slow pan.
Here we go. Yes.
My next question is for Seisha. We have seen that Seisha seems to have some tie to the Harbinger or Elder Eye, and somehow is corrupted by the Far Realm, with foreboding warnings of doom from both the Doctor and the astral form of Alpenser. How is Seisha dealing with this, and what does she fear it will lead to?
It's not. She is, pardon my French, she is freaking the fuck out internally. And she's terrified that either her Solar or she are going to be a Harbinger. Because of the chosen stuff and the fact that all this is building up, she feels like something's being done to awaken this from either her or her Solar. And she is not handling it well at all, and she's basically just throwing herself into, well, what does the group need? What can I do for the group? If I support the group and I ignore it, maybe it'll be okay. And she's
denial.
Yeah, she's
the best form of coping.
Acknowledging but denying. But she is absolutely terrified at this point.
Yeah.
I see you grinning.
The funny thing is that the first mention of the Harbinger is whenever Viomiliana got attacked at the house.
Yeah. They were doing a ritual for the Harbinger. That was actually the fight where Seisha got corrupted, if you want to call it that.
Nope. No, it's even earlier than that.
No, the Tickle Monster killed Seisha in the fight.
No, like episode 5. Episode 5. Viomiliana gets attacked in her room and comes down screaming, yelling about the Harbinger because it spoke to her.
When we first came into our house.
Right. Oh, I kept thinking the first one we heard of it was in the bedroom when Renair was being attacked.
Nope.
No.
Where's my notes?
Oh, yeah. Harbinger. Harvey Bieber.
Harvey Bieber.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the whole you've been chosen and you work for him has, because the you work for him, you serve him, I think is what it said. She's the only one who heard that, and because it was said in her mind, and she is a hot mess right now. Yeah,
that's good.
All right.
Healthy fever.
My next question is for Voss.
Ooh.
We have gotten a glimpse at Voss's dark past with the Black Viper and the Reforged Ring. What are you looking forward to facing most, and what are you dreading to face about your past?
The thing he's looking forward to facing most is to finally accomplishing his goal and saving the remaining children that he set out. The worst thing would be, it's like, I mean, facing the old captain, which he hasn't talked about really that much. Like, there's been 2 captains Voss has had, and he's talked briefly about one, but he's not really talked about either of them. They were both horrific in very different ways. One he knows is dead, and the second one he believes is so. So that would be the most horrific thing he could face, would be the other one. But yeah, like the ring was like something that was somewhat developed, but it's never been highlighted, but it is the biggest slaver guild in this area, and it's filled with people who would be a part of a slavers guild.
I remember the episode when you first revealed that, and you were just like, I take off my glove and I show the ring, and Dustin and Devin were like, wait,
that's...
hold on, we gotta.
I have been told I fuck things up often, as it's my nature to do.
No, it wasn't that. It was more so like, whoa, before you unveil so much about your past, you know you don't have to, and you're like, nope, I've already done it. I'm riding this ride, and I've made the choice, and I want it to continue. We're like, okay,
sure,
cool.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure that narratively it made sense and wasn't forced. But
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that.
But it's been so good since that has happened. Those little tidbits.
Mm-hmm.
The Voss morsels.
I was about to say little morsels of Voss
Yeah.
that we get every
Ugh.
so often.
Ugh,
The morsels.
it's gross.
You know, like the little slivers of burnt.
It's a gross thing
Now
you're
we
saying.
feast on Voss's flesh every so often.
And you're making it more gross. Stop with all this grossness.
Little flaky bits that come off.
Cease.
Like fish food.
Cease the grossness.
All right.
Black
The next
fish.
question is
Thank you.
for Vinley. We have seen Vinley grow a lot from becoming a devout of Jurgle, admitting romantic feelings, and even supporting the BFGs as more than friends, even calling Seisha a sister. What has been your biggest and most favorite character development, and what moment did you decide to make that change?
I think the biggest character development she has had would be with Harold. Like I mentioned before, she's always had this ingrained hatred towards people like Harold. And you can see it in the first couple episodes. Every single time a half-elf appeared near us, you could hear me under my breath in character as Vinley go, ugh.
Yep.
And it became so ingrained in me that I started doing it in different games. Playing different characters. Like I was playing a half-orc once, and a half-elf walked up and I went, ugh. And I was like, wait, whoa. But my favorite thing that she's been through is the love that she has developed towards Harold. She there's something about Harold, and it's not just his charisma that he has about him, because she felt that at first, and that's why she originally was off put by him, because he seemed, sorry Ethan, but he seemed a little sleazy to her, at least at first. But as they continue to grow, and I think with Harold specifically, the first time she kind of broke down those barriers and allowed him close to her was when they got drunk in the fighting pit in Rainier's house, where he doesn't remember anything that happened that night, but she remembers everything. She remembered everything they talked about. So for him to not know all the information he shared with her and like all the information she shared with him, and still have that amount of trust and loyalty towards Vinley is really, really, really big for Vinley alone. And I think the biggest point as Vinley in a character in general, her biggest turning point was the moment she decided to leave.
Yeah. And
then changed her mind. She was running, and
that was a scary moment.
Yeah, I'm like, it's been 2 years and I still tear up thinking about it, because that could have been it if she had not had. But I'm weird when I roleplay, because I really get into Vinley's mindset, because she's a completely different person from me and has a completely different attitude. So when I feel a decision coming on, I just act on it, because I feel as though that's what Vinley is telling me to do.
Yeah.
So when she decided to run, I didn't know what to do with myself. It felt like, this is going to sound real weird, but it felt like she had completely taken over me and I was just moving the piece down the board. And her fear, her detachment from the situation struck my heart, and there was nothing else I could do but run. And then she saw Seisha getting attacked, and she was like, no, this I can no longer abide these actions to happen. And that's what changed her mental state about this group as a whole. And yeah, she has admitted feelings towards other people in the party. She doesn't know necessarily what they are, but I wouldn't call them romantic just yet. She has very strong feelings towards other people in this party.
Amazing. I love it. All right. The Hope Lavelle would love to know whatever happened to Harold's baby giant arm leg, and will we ever see it return?
So
Ethan's face.
We sold
got,
it.
Yeah.
it got
Yeah.
cut off. It's in the Temple of Gond, and you know
Yep.
what they do. So will you see it again?
Probably.
Yeah, we got some sweet gold.
It's gonna
for that,
come
though.
by on a unicycle and be like, I'm like, oh my god, is that my arm? Hey, arm, and it's gonna be like, and it's gonna drive away.
His little baby finger, like
You know,
I was a leg.
I used to
I may
beat
look
someone.
like an arm, but I was a leg.
This is something to think about if we encounter a giant in the future, how much we can sell its limbs for.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, we know there's a market now.
there
Yeah.
is a market for giant baby limbs.
And just like glue them to
absolutely.
Harold and say, "Oh God, it happened again."
You buying or
Yeah.
Does V feel weird about that? That little conversation? Baby giant arms, seeing as she's a Goliath?
Well, Goliath babies don't come out giant. They just grow real fast. Like they're bigger than the average human or elf baby, obviously, but they're not like
giant
they don't
baby.
come out the size of a human. Like they don't come out the size of like
A boulder?
a gnome or like halfling.
I mean, they're still medium sized. They're not huge size.
They're not like 4 feet tall.
But
So-
tall baby.
The funny
But-
thing
but
is
it-
like the funny thing is I can now see Robo-Goblin taking the Tampo ology series
Yes.
and doing a Goliathology with Cadkins.
Yeah.
oh, Goliathology.
All right, here's a super fun one. Narerin wants to know, your character gets Freaky Friday'd with an NPC. Which NPC would you want to swap with?
I think
Okay.
Vincent Trench, just to see what he does. I just want to know what that guy does with his.
I want to see what he is. I want to
You just want to know if he's actually a cat.
I just want to know if he's, because I have an idea of what I think he is, and I want to know if I'm right about that. And I also just want to, what does he do? Like, I just want to go to like his favorite like restaurant and be like, Mr. Trench, I see you're back. Ah, my favorate table. Can't wait to eat. Just like, are you feeling all right, sir? Why?
Hey,
You
are
haven't
you-
used any metaphors yet? Like, oh shit.
Are you being John Malkoviching him, or are you? him?
I don't know.
See, the funny thing is that episode where y'all had to guard his house just aired on the Binge-a-thon, and y'all were losing your minds over the cat hair in his apartment.
I think that's probably one of the best punchlines of the entire show. Was just like I'm about to walk out the door. I pause. I turn back. Like, you want a cat? Nah, allergic to things.
That was so good.
Yeah, all right. Just turn and keep going.
I think.
There was cat hair in the bed. It was orange cat hair.
Have y'all ever seen the episode of Justice League Unlimited where the Flash and Lex
Yep.
Luthor get freaking
Yep.
Friday?
It's one of my favorites.
I love that episode.
I can
That's
finally
so
know who
good.
the Flash is.
I have
I have
no
no
idea
clue
who
who
this
this
is.
is. I would want Seisha and the Rose to Freaky Friday so that I could have that moment of, oh shit, I'm straight up in the lion's den.
Yeah, and then he can have the moment of, oh shit, there's Harold right there.
Yep. I think that would be just
Oh, no.
extremely entertaining.
You really think the Rose would take that moment to kill you, or would he take that moment to find your weaknesses within your party?
I think he could do both. I don't think anyone believes Seisha killed me. I'll use a truth zone and I will answer the questions.
Along a
All right.
similar vein as what Goblin said, in the original Freaky Friday body swapping, it existed to teach both characters a lesson about the other one. So I would
Yep.
want Vinley to either swap with Gariel or Davil, but he's not allowed to touch anything.
No inappropriate comments, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Would we go on a date? Because that'd be weird.
That would be
Weird.
I think
Vinley would-
Vinley would let you know before that happened that it was her.
you go
Or
on a
what
date.
if we all pretty at the same time and you said you switched with the Rose?
Yeah.
That the Rose actually goes on a date as Seisha with Vinley as Gariel.
Wow, that's a lot of Inception.
That would be a good time. I can't think of an NPC. My first instinct would say Voss, but he's not an NPC. Thinking about like putting like how Rhea said, like the whole idea is to like learn a lesson.
Her dad. V's dad.
Oh, we could get a lot of
Is that
valuable
beneficial? Like,
Oh yeah, it could be.
yikes. I mean, yeah, that could be interesting, but I was trying to think of something like,
Yeah, what if you
Yeah.
Freaky Friday with your dad and you like came back, you're like, we have to kill him. Oh man, is he that bad? No, I need his empire. I want the power back.
I understand now everything.
I would have burned the city down a long time ago if I'd known all the shit he was gonna get to.
yeah,
All right.
I'm trying to think if
Bravo.
there's anybody else that it would be funny to Freaky Friday with, but other than
Uh,
just think it would be funny
Manchun.
to Freaky Boss.
Ooh.
Find
man.
myself,
Yeah.
kill myself immediately, and then take over the empire, and I have what I want.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because you don't care about your
Always
end, do
plan
you?
out. It's always a plan.
I don't. Yeah, I don't care. I got no
Yeah,
attachment to this
okay,
body.
this is my
This is
body
like
now, guys.
this is a meat wagon that shoves my mind around. My mind goes elsewhere.
That is a quote from the century.
Yeah.
I am a meat wagon.
Hold on.
My mind around.
Hold on to your ass meat, people.
Yeah.
Cradle it like the loving tenderness of your own child.
Wow, man.
Wild mount. All right. Here is another one for everybody. HTT Paladin would like to know, would any of you willingly remove one miserable moment in your characters' lives, even if it came with the risk of their life being radically different and not being a part of the BFGs? Or would they repeat every moment of shame and misery to be where they are?
Damn, Paladin.
Yep.
I would only change one thing about Harold. I don't even think I would change it because a lot of character flaws. I mean, like a lot of things came to light with it. But when he tried to trick the hag, I still feel guilty about it. I still lose sleep over that.
Ooh. Yeah.
But that's more of an Ethan thing. I think Harold's over it. I don't think Ethan's over it. But yeah.
How that feel?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would say that, but even that, I don't regret it because it had to happen. Or if it didn't happen, Harold wouldn't have grown. No, nothing changes. There it is. Oh
All right.
man, you made me think. With heart in my head at the same time. Oh, effort.
I think
All right.
I'll be right back. I'm just 1 second. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
I think Vinley, the only moment that Vinley would want to go back, because she's very happy with who she is now,
Mhm.
going through what she has gone through up to this point, she wouldn't change it for a second, because then she probably wouldn't have access to the amount of power that she has now, or the people that she has access to now. But the one thing she regrets is that first time she met Harold and he grabbed her hand and she threatened to kill him, calling him a half-breed. She regularly looks back on that day and says, I wish I could change that.
Aw.
And she sees those effects with him, like, even now, still. Every time she asks for his hand, Harold is reluctant to the point of asking her, are you sure? Or are you...
Oh.
Like, he is incredibly, I wouldn't say afraid, but apprehensive to touch Vinley. So I think rewinding back the clock to change that moment where she said that to him and not get off to an immediately bad start with Harold.
Yep. All right, who's next?
Anybody else?
Go ahead.
No. And it's mainly because, like, the only moments he would change and regret you haven't seen, so it's meaningless in that sense. But for everything he's done in Waterdeep, it's all been a step forward for Voss. So there's nothing, even when he's made mistakes, there's nothing he necessarily regrets.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I feel like, you know, I think wishes she had probably put in more effort earlier on to like bond with like Boss, Finley, and Seisha. Like they sort of happened, like from her perspective, they just sort of happened to her. kind of situation, and was just kind of doing whatever Harold wanted to do and helping out and whatever. And I know that a lot of that, like a lot of the Voss and V drama was really drawn out. I think that could have been resolved a little sooner. Also, maybe not have killed that Kinku. I can't decide if that was a really important thing or not to have happened.
I would say so. It
was
set
kind
off
of an accident.
it set off a huge amount of inner dialogue inside of V that completely changed who she was.
Yeah, so maybe I don't regret murder.
Like, if you look at it, even now to today, modern are fighting in battle, V is still apprehensive to do lethal damage. And I think it stems from her killing that Kinko in the beginning.
Yep.
Right, but she also, associates all of y'all's murder with her as well, because she's not doing anything to stop it. She's helping you guys murder others. So she feels still responsible. I mean, she doesn't really voice this. This is just an internal thing I've been working on with her character. But it's part of why in the arena, she couldn't actually bring herself to kill those people who are all plugged in and stuff that Harold did for her. But she still was helped in a way by being there.
It doesn't exactly make it easier.
Yeah. It was a selfish decision for her to make, and I think I don't know. I can't really say it's would I change it? I don't know. That's all I got.
Seisha?
If Seisha was given the option to have had her mother stay, she would be sorely tempted. That's her biggest hurt, is that she was basically rejected by her mother, as far as she knows. And she longs for a mother. So that would be sorely tempting. And I think besides that, there's not a thing in the world she would give up. The thing that would make her hesitate is she would potentially lose Voss. And that would make her hesitate. No offense to everybody else, but that's her Voss.
Well, think about it this way. If you never had Voss, your father probably wouldn't feel comfortable sending you out into the world, which means you never would have met any of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have just been happy at home with your mom and dad.
Yeah. But
There
that's,
you go. Okay.
yeah.
All right. My next question is for the DMs. Let's see. Just out of curiosity, how long does it take to write an episode, and how much do you write, and how much is improvised?
Yes. It really depends on our out of game work schedule.
Yeah.
About how much we get to dedicate to the time. As we've said multiple times, everything's 50-50. A lot of times we'll just sit down and throw ideas at the wall, but also surprising, but not surprising, the players write a whole lot of the story as well. Do they actually put the words onto the page or come up with the ideas? No, but every week we ask them, hey, what is your character's mindset? What are their goals? What are you wanting to do? That way we're prepared and can make a scene more involved, but also reference our notes to know what that NPC or character or scene needs. That seems narratively progressive, because I'll tell you, an urban campaign, Cadkins, you think you have it hard memorizing all of these NPC names. Not only do we have to make them up, we have to remember them after we make them up, who they are, what their accents are, yada, yada, yada. It's a nightmare of an urban campaign, but I wouldn't change it for the world. On average, ideally, I'd say, and this is going to sound like a lot to most people, but 20 hours a week per episode. How much do we write?
That's on top of y'all. I know it hasn't been as big of a deal this year, but typically y'all are working 70-hour weeks with your jobs.
Yes.
Yeah. So
our Saturdays typically don't exist. And how many? Somewhere between 10 and 20 pages of descriptions is really.
No, let me share this quote from one of our sessions. So everyone, I would just like to let y'all know that I have written 22 pages tonight. And then let's flash forward to the end of the episode. We got through 4 of them.
It's 27 pages.
Yeah, it was 27 pages. We got through 4.
Yeah, I mean, we try to be, very descriptive with all of our, our setting the scenes and everything. So that takes up a lot of the pages and whatnot. And I mean, our players are phenomenal role players, and we're never going to stop that. So what we have planned for one session will turn into 3 sessions easily because of the amount of emotion and story that you all bring to the table.
I know what those 27 pages are. That's the black market. And the reason why there are 27 pages is because every stall that you could have gone to was already fully described.
With the shopkeeper, personality, description, everything. And so, every stall.
The items that you could buy and everything like that was there and available. That's something that you could stumble upon.
See, this just proves that they're computers.
They are a hive mind.
But as for the improv, players are always going to throw curveballs, and we have to make it up on the spot. Or sometimes we don't finish writing what we wanted to get done, and we just have to. You typically have at least a bare bones outline of what's going. Here are the notes that you have to hit, and it just doesn't have the very verbose flourish of the words that sometimes, and you'll kind of see us kind of searching for words to make the descriptions really good, but. It's starting to come more natural now.
And kind of a follow-up to that is, how do you guys go about designing and balancing your encounters?
It just depends.
You tell.
We'll 100% use the D&D Beyond encounter builder. We'll set the CR. We'll kind of fluctuate, how challenging we want it to be, how deadly we want it to be, with CRs, it's based on one person of that level, not a party. So you have to kind of know going into it how to fluctuate that. And, and there may be times where we're in an encounter and we'll, in the middle of the encounter, we'll just say, okay, let's go ahead and scale this back because they're getting hit really hard. Let's not add in these other aspects that we had planned because they're already taking it pretty hard. They're already down a whole lot.
Yeah.
Or it may be, hey, if we want a challenge to be very difficult and y'all are mowing through it, then we may add aspects of minions coming in or something like that, because we want, and other times you guys will blow through it and that's it. And that's the encounter because it's not, narratively it should be easy.
Because it's a trap.
Well, not because it was a trap, but because it was that I know what you're referencing, and that's the hand, and that was the reference. Not everybody that's in the cult are big, huge, crunchy monsters. Those were monsters that you had seen. Monster stat block is what I mean. That you had seen from
level 3.
Yeah, all the way back to level 3, and you can't just erase those because they're at a higher level now. It's no,
they still exist.
They just burn through them quicker.
Yeah. Well, some of the monsters that they saw while I was gone, we actually saw at level 1 on the boat in our one shot.
Yes, you did.
I cleaved one of them in half.
I think another thing that you guys do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I was just gonna say. So I actually really enjoy tying back in essentially the foot soldiers of being these are still here. They're just less important to you now because they can kill you in one hit.
Look at the street encounter with the hound that distorted reality. You've a lot of those creatures you've all fought lower on, and I mean it almost killed Stacia in session 0, and she took it down with one hit. And you kind of move through those. Even the night gaunts, which now you've learned that in play, and we can actually say that they are called night gaunts and not just tickle monsters.
They're tickle.
The night gaunts, they're hardy. They have a lot of hit points, but they weren't as much of a challenge to you other than playing the cat and mouse chase game.
Yeah, they are more a when you affect the area, they're
Crowd control.
yeah, they're more crowd controlled than heavy hitters.
Yeah.
So
I'll say that also another thing you guys do to build a lot of tension is giving us a harder battle, but then giving us allies that can help us in terms of healing and like support.
but
And
that's all because
down
of
to
you
you.
and the
That's
and
not
the
us.
relationships that you have built in play. If you hadn't built those relationships, then those allies would not be there.
There no spoilers, but there are certain things that you guys have said specifically with a certain masked individual that is there might be a reason why she hasn't completely abandoned your party, you know, and that she does help you. And also the other NPCs that you like Dustin was saying, bring along the way and incorporate into your group, and you find a mutual beneficiary situation for each other. Of course they're going to help out. They're not going to be like, oh no, that's their problem, well, you know, as most NPCs seem to do, where it's like, oh, you peons, go do this thing for me, I'm much too busy for it. And they get their hands dirty too.
It's like a sampler platter of most D&D campaigns where you go through the entire campaign, make allies, make friends, and you completely forget about them until the very end when you're like, this is it, this is the final thing. Except in this one, all of our friends and all of our allies are right down the door, right down the street from us, so we can be like, hey,
Yeah,
can you come, we need your help.
that's another thing with running an urban campaign, and when you guys leave the city, you're not going to have that extra support.
That social structure that we've spent 2 months building in play.
Leave my girlfriend.
You could leave your girlfriend.
motions to V's entire ancestry.
All right. We are trying to get through questions as quick as possible. We have so many questions. So,
I mean,
Volinar wants to.
I was
What?
going to say, I can ask the cast. Obviously, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. We said that we wanted to keep it within 2 hours. We have a bunch of questions, I'm sure, as Babs said. How much longer do you guys want to go, or do we want to start focusing more on other specific questions and then leaving the rest for Ask D4 on the Discord?
I'm good to keep going.
I'm gonna keep
Okay.
going.
I woke up at 3 p.m. today, so I'm good to go.
Okay. Okay, so let's do a couple
cool.
more questions, and if we can, we'll take a break.
We'll
at
take a
9.
break at 9, and then maybe we'll come back for a
Cool.
little bit longer after
Yeah.
that.
That'd be
Cool,
great.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm down. I'm having a lot of fun with you guys.
Me too. I'm having a lot of fun too.
So, all right. Here's a fun one. Volinar is curious. Do you have a setup ritual before a session? And if so, what does that entail? Is it dice selection, playlists, accessory placement? What
We
does that
roll
look like?
for it.
Oh yeah, we do.
You do.
We
You do
roll
have
for
that.
it. But we either we roll for it or we roll off. And it's a thing that started with me and Logan at the table, and it just kept growing and growing. And the idea was you roll to see which one of us is. It was like we're gonna roll to
Who's
see
gonna
which one
die.
dies. And
Yeah.
so now everybody.
Yeah.
It started with just like the two of us, and then everybody started seeing us do it, and it's like I want to roll off. And so now we're all
I don't want to die.
yeah. So we
Ready?
all roll off at the
Oh.
beginning.
I know Cadkins can't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
always roll 20s with that anyways.
Yeah.
I'm always like, what the hell? Every time I do it. It's always above 15.
I always roll single digits.
So yeah,
Roll off.
that's our big thing. We always do.
Like
it.
roll.
I love
Roll
it.
Yeah.
off.
Roll it off. Do it.
Roll
Roll
off.
it.
Yep,
Roll
y'all
off.
haven't done it tonight.
Roll off.
Oh, shit. Let me pull
Yeah,
up.
we should roll it off.
I don't
Oh,
have
I
my
got one right here. I got one right
Oh,
here.
Speaking of single digits,
16. Ooh.
Oh, nice.
I also got a 16.
Hey, Bill and Dill.
That's a really
Yep.
impressive number if it weren't for my 19.
Oh.
Pretty
all right, I got this one.
Yeah.
I got a 9.
Oh.
Oh, a strong
That's a
number.
mighty number.
I got a gentleman 6.
A gentleman
Oh.
6.
Gentleman 6.
What'd you get there, Katie?
Universe heard me and turned my 20 into a 2.
Oh,
It looks like
That means Katie is gonna die?
I hope not.
Adkins?
No,
No.
Nonsense. All right,
Goblin lives.
we have rolled off. Now
No,
you
I meant
guys-
like me, Katie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I accidentally did that.
No, I have a little ritual I do, which is at 4:30, 5 o'clock, I go get Stella, put her in the car, and we go up to Starbucks, and I get a venti latte with 4 raw sugars, and she gets a puppuccino. And then I come back home and I drink it so that I'm awake and peppy, and I listen to my Seisha playlist while I get ready.
I drink Red Bull.
I play a video game. Usually I play a fighting game, any fighting game that lets me play JoJo's, and that's basically it. That's my go-to ritual. Is
Right up to the
JoJo's.
last 4 seconds, he will be playing this game. He'll be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
I do my makeup. My makeup routine has gotten extremely short now that we're playing remote, because there are these wonderful things called camera filters.
Yeah.
Ooh, just wait
And-
till we go back live.
Girl, I'm gonna have to buy more makeup. So my Sunday ritual is I get up, take a nice leisure stroll around my living room, and go upstairs, get my makeup done by myself, and come back down and talk to my mom until about 6 when I'm supposed to be on call. And we usually just talk about what happened last week and what's going to happen this week. Yeah.
I feel like I don't really have a ritual. Mine is like, it gets to be about 5 o'clock. I then realize I have not eaten food. So then I'm like scrambled to go get food.
Yep.
And also, oh yeah, I gotta do my makeup. And so as I'm like getting food, I'm like, what am I gonna do for that? What am I gonna wear? I'll figure it out when I see it. And then I get dressed, and then I like heat up or do whatever food it is I'm having. Then I'll connect with you guys on Zoom, and I will eat my food.
Yep.
On Zoom. I kind of did the same thing in person. I'd like bring my food with me and be like, okay, I'm eating here. Okay, now we're doing makeup in the bathroom. Okay. And then usually I would sit down like at the last second.
When
At
we're
the
in
last
studio, I'll sit down and go over my notes before we play. But I haven't done that since we've been remote.
What about
Also-
you?
Oh, that explains everything.
Oh, I also usually have 3 separate beverages with me that I prepare ahead of time. In like 3 different mugs.
Got your water, your coffee, and your alcoholic. The 3
I
essentials.
never have more than 1 to 2 drinks a game though, so I'm not like
Yeah, that's fair.
What about
usually,
you,
like,
Logan?
beer or something, like nothing strong.
Roll off, come in. That's it. That's
I
it.
will.
Simple man.
No. One of your rituals is prepping for the D&D Beyond advertisement.
That comes up either. I've already planned something out, or 5 minutes before we go on stream. It's one of the two.
That just adds credibility to Logan's chops in general.
As the benefits of being in an improv troupe most of my life.
We'll be sitting
that.
there, and
That's
he'll
my
just be
acting
like
life.
mumbling under his breath, and then he'll come out with this like ridiculously brilliant advertisement for D&D Beyond, and it's just like I get so grumpy because I'm sitting there going,
You got props though. You got look at this amazingly wielded bullshit from my bullshit company. That's amazing. And there it is. Look at that.
Like Lulu.
So good.
Amazing stuff.
But
I gotta draw on a piece of paper a man with beefy legs. I have to work with.
for the DMs, it's running around like chickens with our heads cut off, making sure everything is in order.
Yeah, making sure our setup is good. If we have a map, making sure the map table, the map, and the map cam are set up and ready to go, and all the minis and all of that stuff is ready to go.
So yeah, that is part of the ritual, is getting everything in its place.
Yep.
Alright.
And then it's me asking Babs to make me a cup of coffee.
I was about to say my pre-show ritual is letting the dog out and then going upstairs to the TV to watch D4 in the room, but also making sure that Dustin has coffee.
"Aw."
He is the best, the best producer wife ever.
Yes,
You're the real hero here.
It's true. It's true.
I try.
Yeah.
Try. That's
We all
okay.
know-
For you should ask how it went when they had to run their own tech for Among Us.
Oh yeah.
Look.
Yeah, I had
is it
to,
9
I had to
o'clock
teach
already?
them
Is it?
all the. I had to teach them all of the OBS stuff, and then Dustin was so stressed out, and I was like, I'm just trying to help you. This is literally my job. And he was like, can I have coffee, please?
Please excuse me.
So
that was very family loading of the fire.
Yep.
yes.
I refuse to let it. We have
All right, I think that is a good place to remind everyone that we are giving away a D&D Beyond Legendary Bundle tonight.
That's everything on the site, by the way.
everything.
Yep.
Everything ever.
So
that
a
D&D
huge
Beyond
loss.
has access to.
Yep.
Yes. It's
Hashtag
like,
Beyond.
what, an 8? Yes. Hashtag Beyond in the chat. Only enter one time so you're not disqualified. RockPunch subscribers are 3 times more likely to win. And with something like this, you definitely want to up those odds, man.
Yep.
Because it's what, like $800 worth of products or something like that. It's a hefty amount. Your D&D experience will never be the same.
Are you putting the pants on there, Devin?
So reminder, the
Yes.
Herald Purple
The other reminder.
are available.
Yes, Harold's Purple Rash Pants are now available in our merch store. You can either go to the merch link in the chat, or you can go straight to d4dnd.com and go order some now. For winter gear, we also have coffee mugs, and we also have hoodies to keep you all snuggly and warm wherever you are.
Right.
I almost just told you to make sure that those don't catch on fire.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, be careful with the fire. Hold on, let me move
Yes.
it. Oh, I'm on fire! I'm on fire! And with that,
All
we'll
right.
be right back.
Yes. Stay tuned. We are going to try and get to everybody's questions tonight. You guys are amazing for submitting so much. And I'm happy that we're continuing on. But we will be right back in, what, about 15, 20 minutes?
Maybe 10, something along.
10,
We'll be back
15?
in a minute.
Yep.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us so far. We got so many amazing questions from you guys. We decided to keep going. So we're gonna try to get through everybody's questions that we can. If we don't get to yours, I'm so sorry. It's not anything personal. We're just running out of time. But as a reminder, if you're just tuning in, we are giving away a legendary bundle from D&D Beyond. If you want to enter to win that, enter hashtag Beyond in the chat.
Hashtag Beyond.
Hashtag Beyond. Only enter one so you're not disqualified. Twitch RockPunch subscribers are 3 times more likely to win. So now's a great time to sub to RockPunch. And as I've mentioned, we have new merch in the store. Harold's Purple Rash Pants are ready and available. They are a very nice purple color, as you cannot tell from Dustin and Devin's screen, but they are more accurate in the photo. They are very purple. They are the purple you would expect from Harold's Purple Rash Pants.
Very bright.
So head over there, grab your super warm, won't cause a rash, probably rash pants. But I'm ready to get back into some questions. Are y'all ready?
Let's do it. Hit me.
Let's do it. All right. Let's see. I forgot to check to see where I was supposed to start with all of these. Oh, okay, here we go. We'll kick off with one to all the players. There was a special episode that changed a lot when B. Dave Walters took over for an episode. What was it like having a different DM in a canon episode, and how did a beer make the BFGs feel about their homeworld?
Boy.
B. Dave Walters, of course, is one of the most tremendous talents in D&D, in my opinion, and he's a super nice guy, really great to work with, huge creative chemistry with everybody at the table. So having him at the table felt very natural. It didn't feel like we weren't like jarred or anything, but it was definitely a different style.
Yeah,
I think he was a little more like just freewheeling with what he sent out, as opposed to Devin and Dustin, who are very like focused and very like they're trying to get the timing right and stuff. And he's just like, yeah, sure, I'll throw those in there. But fuck it, we're on a beer. And so, and it was great. It was definitely a change of pace. I don't want to make that sound like it was a negative thing at all. It was really fun, and it definitely made for a different feel at the table for me, especially. But I think that it was just kind of a more surreal thing than it was like, wow, his style doesn't match, or his style really matches with us, or anything. It was just fun. He was a lot of fun.
Y'all got to meet Freely.
Getting to run with Freely was a Katie dream come true. Like, I have always loved Freely. He is one of my favorite characters on any D&D show, and getting to actually, for Seisha to meet him, I'm like getting all giddy about it now. Like, that was an end all be all high point. And his directing as a DM was very different from Dustin and Devin's style, like Ethan was saying, but I think everybody just flowed so beautifully with it. And it was almost a seamless adaptation for our group into a very different style of DMing. And I think it was brilliant that he was on a beer, because it's the same world but different. And so to have it run by a DM of the same caliber as our DMs but different was wonderful.
That's a very nice comparison. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it worked really well. Like, I sincerely, that was just an amazing game, up, down, right, left, and center.
And I will add that the fact that it being canon was actually very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because when you play with a new DM, especially a new DM that like some of us may have not seen or had a point of reference for his DMing style previously going into the episode. So going into an episode with a new DM is very nerve-wracking, because what if there is that kind of clash? Like, what would you do? But it speaks on the level that B-Dave is on, that it was literally like both of them said, seamlessly transitioned, and it felt so natural. And they even had like consequences for our characters, because I know Vinley had a course altering event take place. Like, she still doesn't fully understand the ramifications of what happened on a beer, and I don't think she ever will.
Yeah.
But she knows she hates she hates what those creatures were.
Yeah.
Spawn.
Yeah. I didn't know if we knew that or not, so I didn't want to be like,
no, we knew that.
Okay.
Got that information from B, actually.
Yeah. That was the biggest challenge, was making that make sense. Probably should not have rolled Arcana that one time, but like, whatever. No one else was rolling well on it. I personally am never worried about a DM being bad. I never anticipated him being bad at all. By the way, I just want that said. But in general, I'm not, because I learned how to play D&D with a guy I did not get along with actively at the time. And it was just sort of like a mutual friend situation where we were just like, oh, I guess we're doing this. And very interesting way to learn how to play D&D. But it was much easier when I moved on to a different campaign with a different DM who I did get along with. But V all of a sudden being an expert in Star Spawn was interesting, and fun figuring out how we could make that work in canon, because it had to be. And luckily we found a really, really good way. The DMs, of course, were like, I think spent that whole episode thinking like, how can we make this make sense?
Yeah, I know. So from my standpoint, Dustin and Devin, like when all of that started happening, they were just like,
yeah, the looks on their faces were like, what? They sent her the file. Okay, I guess she knows this.
Y'all were rolling.
How do we make this work?
I'll piggy.
Huh?
I was gonna say, I'll piggyback off of that and say this is one of the reasons why we have the rule of two, is typically so that not everybody gets a chance to find out that information, because there's certain information in the world that just isn't common knowledge. But V stumbling upon that and us going, okay, this is a very canon episode. How do we make this work? And then coming up with the story that we did. There's been a couple of times throughout D4 where we're like, oh, we have this idea and this is going to work. And then it completely falls through or something completely changes and we just have to make it work. And this is one of those times. And I think it just, in every single time, I think it enriches the story.
It did, yeah. 100%.
A very canon episode of D4.
Yep.
A very canon Christmas.
Yep. I mean, yeah, the from our aspect, the fact that like when B Dave, you know, when we were talking to B Dave on the DM side of things, and we're like, hey, what if we, you know, swapped games, and like, what if we ran a Dark and Wish? What if you ran D4 to kind of really that whole multiverse thing again and kind of tie both of our storylines together a bit? And then he was like, I think I'm going to take them to a beer. And we were like, okay, all right. And then, you know, 3/4 of the way through it, you know, he sends us a message. He said, hey, I don't think I'm not gonna be able to tie this off in a nice bow. Are you okay if I just leave it where it is? And we were just like, yeah, absolutely, sure.
Yeah, we'll make it work. And
Are you okay if I just leave them on a beer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just leave them there.
But the thing is
Fine.
that it opened the door for us to bring in Kelvin and create that story, because that was,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, spoilers, that was not an element we were going to bring into
Ever.
our story. And boom, that was it. And then also, for those that know Dustin's old character, Aliquin, we wanted to bring in that story at some point, and this just presented itself as the best opportunity.
Yep.
So we got to have that story. There's also some Easter eggs to other PCs things that aren't guest PCs things
Yep.
that are in that
Yep.
episode and things like
100%.
that I'm not going to confirm nor deny, but
Yeah, the story that came from that guest DM spot of the aftermath was probably one of my favorite sessions we've had to date. And it's not just the fact that I got to play an NPC that I love, like probably my all-time favorite NPC that I've ever played, and to continue his story, but the story that the story that all of y'all brought forth from that, the encounter, the map, the floating islands that never would have came.
The role play of Harold going through every emotion after wanting to, after failing the madness of the black milk, and the first time you guys really getting to encounter the black milk.
Yeah.
And whatever that might mean for the future. But oh, it was so good.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
All right. So on the flip side, to the DMs, what was it like DMing for a Darkened Wish? And will we see you DMing on other shows in the future?
What was it like? Nerve-wracking. Because of what the players said, we want to deliver a game for our Darkened Wish players that they feel was enjoyable, immersive, made sense for their characters. We don't want to come in and be like, oh, well, that was a weird episode, or they don't really like our DM style and stuff like that. We wanted to make it enjoyable, not only for the players but also the viewers and things like that. So it was a little nerve-wracking on that end.
But it was fun, and it was great. And every cast member, I have played games with a lot of them, but I've never DM'd for them. And so to have the chance to DM that cast was incredible. They are all phenomenal improvers, actors, and role players. Will we DM any other game? No.
If the opportunity presents itself. Also, for people that are fans of the D4 storyline, that episode is also canon for D4.
It is 100%.
There might be, if you go back and watch that, you might learn some things. So
very, very much a canon tied to the canon of D4. There is tons of Easter eggs and lore elements in that. Yep.
Interesting.
I'm just happy that it was opened up into a Darkened Wish, so we could potentially meet all those characters too.
Yes.
Possibly.
All right. So here's probably one of our most encompassing questions. So we've had some big reveals and betrayals throughout the story, especially this year. What is one that has truly shaped your character, or one where the DMs caught you off guard? I know we kicked off the year with a really big one.
That's really the biggest one for me, because that one really did catch me completely off guard, and fuck 3 strings. I think that because all the other characters thought the Castellaners were going to turn on us, it wasn't as surprising. It definitely hurt. But I mean, it was understandable. What was that?
Manchun killing
Flenric,
yeah.
That was rough.
It was realistic.
It was unexpected, and it was brutal. Like,
yeah.
It really drove home what an asshole he is. And that was the first time that Seisha ever experienced wanting someone dead. That was a huge impact.
I had it. Oh, it went away.
Oh
no. Dying? Meeting Kellamvor?
Bane dying?
There was that one. That one really shook Lily to her core. There was, oh my god. What learning that the Rose was a masked lord. That on a different level shook Vinley, because she doesn't know much about Waterdeep politics, but she knows those people are the ones in power.
Yeah.
And then also learning from L'Oreal herself that he just openly was like, hi there, you're gonna do what I want.
We'll deal with that.
Meeting Big Dad.
Like that was one of the scariest things. Bane dying, that's a problem for probably someone else. I am not strong enough to deal with what's going on over there behind that curtain. I wrote his name down. My job's done. But the Rose just openly being like, hi, Laurel. That shook Vinley more than Bane dying.
V's dad issuing a threat.
Oh,
like when I got the threat from V's dad, that was...
What? No, he told you a kid's bedtime story.
Yeah, sure he did. Yeah. I'm really glad I didn't grow up with his bedtime stories. How are you not more fucked up, V?
Speaking of...
She is.
V and Voss, what about you guys?
Reveal of the Black Viper, only because that kind of changed what Voss was planning from that point forward. It was proof positive, along with the Castellaners being worthless dicks. The noble houses are rotten to the core and need to be eradicated.
Did that reveal surprise Logan as well?
Sure, because I thought I knew who that was and it wasn't.
Yep.
But once again, it spurs Voss forward into action, as all things do. And it's another piece of proof of what I believe the city to be and what needs to be done to upend it.
Yep. B, what about you?
Another thing?
I think the biggest thing that was surprising to V was the freaking Castellaners, man. That was enormous for her. Like,
because she looked at them like almost like a second family.
Yeah, no, she legitimately did. Like, she felt like they were more parents to her than her parents. But to be honest, V doesn't really know what parents look like and what they're supposed to be like. She just knows they're supposed to care more.
Parents are supposed to do whatever is necessary for the benefit and health of their children. That is what a parent does, and they're not evil. They're just put in very bad situations.
Oh no, the Castellaners were evil.
They made evil choices, but for their children.
Evil.
You just made Devin do a spit take at the fireside.
People started like shape shifting and shit at the party. Me as a player was just like, what? And then when it like finally came to me that like, you know, the Castellaners not only did this, they knew it was going to happen. I was just like, what the fuck?
I really was expecting a different.
I literally did not expect an encounter or anything like at all at that party, like whatsoever. It was not something I had thought about, planned for. Neither had V. I expected, like, because we have done a couple sessions where there was like a party involved or whatever, and those ended up not being encounters. So I just, in my mind, I was just like, and in V's mind, it's just like, oh well, this isn't even a risk.
You were gonna say something, Vinley?
Oh, I was just gonna say every time Logan opens his mouth as Voss, it shocks and awes me.
Yeah. Fair.
Like every time we learn anything new about Voss, I'm like,
Here comes
Really?
another Voss speech, and you're all going to be horrified as I detail in great detail all the things I'm
I'm
gonna
not Vincent Price, dude. Come on.
Are you?
I don't have the chops for that.
I disagree. I think
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
think
with
are
you on this.
amazing.
but yeah, like even in play, every time we learn anything new about Voss, or every time Vinley learns anything new about Voss, she is perplexed and curious more than anything. She'll never like outwardly judge. Well, she'll outwardly judge, but she'll never take that to heart.
You got skeletons, don't you? You got something going on.
I do. I got skeletons in my closet.
Yeah, you got literal and figurative ones. Yeah.
All right. I think if y'all are, I think we can move on to some chat questions.
Let's hit it.
All right. Traveler Farlander asks, what was everyone's favorite single quote from the season?
Oh,
If
from the season,
if
I
you-
don't know. My favorite quote is the one I quoted earlier as Christopher Walken. We were on that ship, and Voss had that dude at knife point, and he's like, I never even saw your face. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And it's like, let the little mystery keep you up at night. I was like, God, I gotta see this movie. If that was in the trailer, I'd be like, front seat, let me get that.
I guess I throw the kid out the window.
Yep.
Eat the baby.
I'll toss it.
All right, well, I'm just gonna throw the kid out the window. What? I remember hearing Vinley saying she was reading Featherfall, and in my mind I was like, okay, she'll just do that to whoever's falling out the window.
I also love the.
And I love how Dustin was all like, Lord Growlhund
Yeah.
would not let you
No,
do
yeah, no,
that.
the actual way
Yeah.
he says it is like, Lord Growlhund would stop you.
Yeah.
It's like not even like anger or anything, just like concern.
Oh yeah, that's
I
another
threw the kid out the
that,
window.
that's another
I really
thing.
thought.
That's another thing that happened this year was Lady Growlhund getting resurrected.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That happened.
Added a lot of marbles to my bag this year.
Yes, that too.
What about the any other quotes? What do we got?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a quote per se, but the moment we were all outside deciding what to do with the castle lanterns, and V just turns and goes, "We're not using it." That was like
Yeah.
in my mind as a player, in my mind as Vinley, it changed how I looked at V. It changed her from
Yeah.
a girl who is indecisive and doesn't know what she wants and is not necessarily willing to do what needs to be done, to a strong warrior woman who, if she needs to, can cut ties with someone. She won't like it, but she is able to stomach her feelings about a topic and do what needs to be done. Sorry.
Logan?
No, you're fine.
Specific quotes are hard for me to think about.
Yeah.
In
There's
all
just
honesty.
so much that happens.
The only thing that sticks out in my mind, and this is from last year, is when Harold and I are having the weird rash pants story. Like that
Because it's
conversation.
forever immortalized
It's forever immortalized,
anim-
so it sticks
as
in my
animation.
mind quite a
Animation.
bit.
In a product now.
By
Yeah.
the fabulous Asari art.
That was season 1, right?
Yeah, but it was that was probably one of the best improv moments me and you've ever shared.
It
Yeah.
was
None of that was planned.
Yeah.
I
no, that was
started
such a-
in with the rash thing, and you just were ready to shut me down. It was
And
so
now-
good.
And now you can get your own rash pants in
You
our
can.
merch store at d4dnd.com.
But yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites too, and I recommend everybody. We play it a lot on here, but you should definitely check out that animation if you haven't seen it. It's wild.
As for me, I can't think of a quote. I can only think of moments because it's the emotion that I remember more so than the word. But there's just been so many good ones, and I know that there's been some really good one-liners that are typically like
in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment from you guys, where I was just like, ooh, that cuts deep. That is so awesome. Yeah. Or it's one of those action movie lines where you're just like, yeah, that's badass.
Yeah.
I'll say one because I'm a Leo, so I'm narcissistic. I'll say one that Vinley said was in the theater when the guy jumped off the balcony and landed on the stage. She turns to him and goes, "Don't worry, I'm a doctor, I'll help you," and leans down, kills him with chill touch, and goes, "Oh, I suppose I should have asked your name first."
Yeah, that was good.
That was one because she was in the middle of a complete meltdown at seeing her friends in a fight when they were just trying to have a good night. She was just so angry.
I think. Oh.
I was gonna say there's a couple.
Go ahead, Dustin.
Go ahead.
Are you sure?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I definitely think that my arcane romance.
Yes. Oh my god. I know. Sometimes I know I like go too far with my pop culture references because that's just half of my brain is pop culture references.
As long as you always make it in-world narratively make sense, then 100%. Oh, you do. You do great.
So one half is pop culture references, the other one is just straight SpongeBob references.
I know. I quote SpongeBob. Okay. I don't like talk about SpongeBob.
Yeah. The other one is the Lanky Boy session where Stacia and V are just going off on this lady grieving, and she's just like, "What is wrong with you people?"
My favorite quote from that is
drunk for that. That was like the only time V has ever been drunk on the show, right?
Yeah.
Because like there's such high constitution.
We were
like,
we
what?
were
Are we gonna go find
the worst detectives ever.
My favorite quote from that situation was, "Do you need a tissue? I don't have one." But
I forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
I think my favorite quote so far, just because it sticks out so hard in my mind, is ending the session with the coffin arriving, and Harold is like, "I swear to God, if that's Averin inside that box, I'm going to punch him in the face, but only once because it's plastic."
Lo and behold,
Averin was in the box.
I did not punch him because I was like, wow, I have
Harold did no, because he called you out.
Yeah, he 100% called me out, and I 100% bitched out. I wasn't gonna punch him in the face.
All right, so we're gonna get to try to get through. We have about 10 minutes left, so let's do a little bit more rapid fire with our answers to see if we can get through some questions. Question for the DMs. Where did it go? Was there one particular trap or situation that the players avoided that you were really looking forward to inflicting on them?
Yes, and it's a situation, and it was the fight with the original fight with Karnan, that they never made it into the art gallery, and we had a full map of the art gallery with all the statues and everything.
So they initiated the fight in the street, which we were not prepared for. We had a fight prepared for the field ward set up, and we had a fight prepared for the art gallery set up, and they initiated the fight right before they got into the art gallery, which we should have thought about.
It's 100%, like totally on our end. Like,
do not feel bad for doing something.
No, not at all.
I really want to see that art gallery map. I'm mad.
I know, I am too.
That sounds really cool.
And you all now kind of are using him as a semi-ally, so you may never ever see that map.
Yeah.
That's just that happens
unless people jump him in his own
gallery.
gallery.
Okay, so V's gonna go to the art gallery and start a fight.
Yeah.
All right.
Statue and be like, "Come at me."
All right, I have another question for Dustin and Devin. Because we've been remote this year, this has been a really huge part of something that we've been very lucky to get to do this year. But how did you bring in your various guest PCs so that they feel like they naturally fit into your world without taking away from the main cast, but also still honoring their presence? Do their character designs sometimes work against what you've made? And if so, how do you work with them to make them gel better?
A lot of work.
Yeah, we with every guest, we want to make sure that one, they fit into the story narratively, and we can work them into the story narratively. But we talk to them with all of our guests just like we do with all of our players, and that's we want backstory, we want everything, and we're going to try to incorporate all of that into
at least touch on it. Obviously, we're not going to be able to wrap up somebody's story in 1 to 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and it's just taking that and merging it into the narrative and just making a way to fit, working with the guests to let them know of, hey, this is what's going on in the world, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, it's just work.
And sometimes they have an idea and we kind of like, oh, hey, that sounds great. But what if we do this little addendum to it, this little change, so that you are tied into the big narrative, or you get tied into something that's going on. For example, Kuzima, he gave us this huge backstory that we loved, and we were like, okay, so they're about to go into the Xanathar pits. That's an easy in for him.
Yep.
But what is his story going to be? And then we did a big lore deep dive into his god, and that's where the chess piece came from, and all of those
why
things.
He was there, and just most recently, V and HTT Paladin, Paladin's character is tied to Oppenser, and has that effect like there, so that easy tie into the main story there. Patty, V's character, is a cleric of Jurgle, and you with what Benley was doing was easy to tie that in. And then there's even times where we have guests that don't make it due to scheduling conflicts.
There was one in particular. If you go back to way back, if you've been watching the BingeCon, where they go to the swamp, that whole side mission was because a friend of ours was going to fly out to Atlanta, and it was going to have a weekend or two to play with us. And so we started incorporating them. They even saw that character multiple times in the swamp, but never encountered them. And because they were already on the mission, we had to incorporate that into the main story. And spoilers, that hag was not supposed to be a part of the main story.
Oops.
And
Oh, don't worry. We'll remove her from the main.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, we can get rid of her. I don't mind.
Done. Not to worry.
It was a fever dream. Oh my god.
Surprisingly, there's a question that said, what happened to the hag? I feel like I missed something, or she just disappeared.
He's doing
In fact, he is referenced in the last episode of the season.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we saw her associated with the Oppenser and the Dead God and all that. She's hanging around.
Yeah,
Yep.
she was at the ritual being performed to corrupt Oppenser.
Being a punk ass.
Being
She's all-
a punk ass bitch.
Yeah.
Making deals with
There's
people.
things happening. The
Yep.
bigger end game stuff.
Yep.
You don't need to see them yet.
Nope. Little threads. Ever since session 0, little threads.
Speaking of little threads, going back for that session 0 and realizing we were on a boat with a frickin' god,
They have taken the serene one.
I'm so angry.
Next question.
Sounds like somebody else's problem.
All right, this is probably gonna end up being our last question. But never fear, any questions we did not get to tonight will be posted in the Ask D4 channel of our Discord, and all of your answers will be given, or you will get a FOIP.
Yes.
FOIP.
So,
I'm down in play.
yep, FOIP. But the last question of the night, which this is also your last chance to get in on the giveaway for the D&D Beyond Legendary Bundle. Enter hashtag Beyond in the chat. All right. If the group could not be adventurers, what would they be doing instead? Would you be a farmer, an activist? What would you be doing?
Elementary school teacher.
That fits.
Probably like a personal shopper or work in some sort of retail store.
In Bergdorf's.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'll let other people answer. I'm still thinking.
Technically, I had a job before I did this. I don't think people would appreciate if I returned to it.
I don't think Voss would appreciate it if you.
No.
Yeah.
If it doesn't involve killing, it's not a job you'd want to do. That's what he's good at.
Probably be an assassin.
Or a pirate.
Is this all like offshoots of adventures? Adventurers can be assassins and
That's
pirates.
true. That's true.
And
but-
murder hobos. Most adventures are murder hobos, if we're being fair.
Vinley would be one of two things. She eventually would have made her way to Waterdeep and found the Black Staff, became a student there, and eventually became a teacher of necromantic arts. Or if she never left her island, she would just be a farmer, a shitty farmer.
At least you realize you'd be a shitty farmer. I was about to say
There's
that.
a lot of dead bodies.
I guess, honestly, she'd be that one trope in every movie, you know, the old woman that sits in a hut outside of town. That'd be Vinley.
I think
that no one talks to her.
If Harold didn't have the chops to be an adventurer, and we're talking about old Harold because he never got an adventure to get in the bag to become a good person, he'd ultimately end up just like his parents and be con artist. And I think that's like his worst nightmare. But like he has to eat. So that's the only way, really.
Well, if Harold never became an adventurer, then I don't think V would either. So she probably would still be at home with her family and like probably eventually just like cave in and
just go with the flow.
Like get married.
Go with the flow, get rich.
I thought it was real world. What real world occupation would we have?
Could be whatever.
I mean, V lives in a city. A real world occupation, if she left, could still be working as a
that's a scary thought to think about, Harold and V. Like, imagine if the call of adventure had never come, and that night, V and Harold like went home and everything was normal, and she never found out what she found out, and he just continued doing that. And then eventually moved on, and V got left behind.
It would be.
Yeah,
You know what?
Eventually, just like would have tried to marry someone as soon as possible, if not to just leave her house.
Yeah,
it's kind of a situation. Obviously, the Osvaldo thing fell through.
I'm really glad that we are adventurers together, though.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to imagine the world without them.
I'm really glad Voss came along.
I wound up like it was happenstance that I was just thrown up on the shores.
Not happenstance, it's fate.
It was
Damn.
Jurgal.
Do not believe in fate.
It was Jurgal. Take those words back out of your mouth. You've run into two.
If Jurgal brought me back to life, he did a really poor job of it.
Yeah,
Damn.
call him Jerkle.
Yeah.
Jiggle. You gotta call him Jiggle, kids.
Jiggle.
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 Just
I
jiggle,
think
jiggle.
that's all the time we have.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Thank you
So-
to everyone that submitted questions.
Thank you,
So who won?
Babs. Yep. Thank you, Babs, for hosting tonight and being the
You're
questionnaire.
welcome. Thank you for inviting me to be your host.
Of course.
So I have very much enjoyed this.
You know, we are a long narrative campaign. We say seasons, but really this is just the end of the year. We don't really have seasons. We are a constant running show.
Yeah.
And you know, a little slower than most, but we have incredible role players telling stories, and we would never change it for the world. Thank you all so much for sticking with us and, you know, letting us entertain you for 4 to 5 hours a week. It's I put together the binge-a-thon list, and we have 350 hours
Of content.
that we have been
That we're burning through
With-
this month.
With
Yeah,
the session zeros and the recent Canon Vinley one shot, it's 90 episodes of D4 that we're getting through in 1 month before
Wow.
we come back on January 3rd.
most TV shows don't go this long. We are 90. Yeah,
Yep.
it's amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better party to run stuff for and a better community.
Here's to another year.
Here's to another year.
Here is
Hey.
to year 3.
Yep. When
Um,
hopefully we'll be able to get back in our studio.
I was about to
Yes.
say, hopefully
Yes.
2021 is better than 2020.
You know what?
Oh,
Either way, as long as I can look forward to seeing all your faces on Sunday, it'll be a good year.
So true.
all right.
All right. With that, we have a
I thought I was hosting this thing. Y'all take the night off.
You know who the winner is?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Yeah, I'm letting them have the night off. They put so much work into this show, and I just wanted them to be able to enjoy it as well, and not have to focus on doing all of this as well. So, thank you guys so much for your love, your support, your everything that you do for D4 and RockPunch and everything. We wouldn't be here without you. If you want to see more D4, tell your friends about it, because as you guys know, it's a wonderful show. These people are fabulous. They're fabulous characters, they're fabulous role players, and we love them so much. But let's give away a legendary bundle. Someone's Christmas is about to be made.
Whose
Someone's
Christmas
holidays
was made today?
Or Hanukkah.
Whose Hanukkah? Whose holiday was made today?
Whose holiday season was my dog is getting excited about us giving away this legendary bundle.
Who's you?
He's like, do it. Pull the name. Let him know, Jesse.
So the winner of the legendary bundle on D&D Beyond is Traveler Farlander. Congratulations.
Yay.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. If you want to hang out with these lovely people, you can find them on Twitter. You can find them on the internet in general, on Discord and all of that. Check the chat because we have handy links for you to just follow them around.
Please follow me.
And there is the sweet pupper. But we love you guys so much.
Sweet pupper.
And here's to 2021, you guys. So
and I do want to officially announce we will be back January 3rd.
Yes.
Will be to start year 3.
Yep. We are going straight into the D4 Binge-a-thon tonight after this is over. I do believe that it is episode 38. I think it's episode 38. 37. Yeah, 37.
An episode.
It's not like I made the schedule today. But we're going straight into that. So if you're missing watching D4, surprise, you get to watch it right after this. So Continue to watch the Binge-a-thon with us. Tell your friends. Help get people hooked on the show.
Be excellent to each other.
And may you always roll with advantage.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
I didn't even intend to.
Oh, wait. Before we go. Speaking of that and that getting stolen from people, the Extra Life Reaper Pepper Challenge the first part of it got released this past Wednesday on YouTube. You guys donated to make that happen. So go watch it because it's so funny. Part 2 releases this Wednesday. So keep an eye out for it. It's going to be good. That's all I have to say.
No, now's your opportunity. Now you can say it.
Yep. Nope. Okay.
That was on you, Babs. You failed. Be excellent to each other. Me always roll with advantage. Good night, everybody.